What am I?
Oh, I love that shit. Oh, good stuff.
That's
Take
right.
two.
Ding, ding, ding. Indeed. We are ready to fight. We are angry. We are frustrated. Our blood pressure is through the roof. It's been 3 weeks since we've done this. We've postponed this stream 2 times in those 3 weeks, and we are still 1 man down. So we are going to be talking some of our favorite movie fight scenes later on. However, you might be getting ready to witness a fight live on the air tonight. If this motherfucker does not show his face in this room any minute now, then he's going the way of the dodo, who, as history will tell you, lost the fight against Extinction. That's what he's going to be. There's only one McManus. There's going to be none McManus soon. Well, there's not. You know what? There's none McManus now, so I guess we haven't really lost anything, have we? Hello, George. You're here. That's good.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm loving it. And not that I was, optimistic enough to put all my eggs in the McManus-shaped basket, but he was hopefully going to be bringing some extra flavour to our conversations later on, especially as we're going to talk about Godzilla x Kong, which I'm the only one who hasn't seen, so I'm not going to be contributing to that conversation. We all saw Roadhouse, though. We're going to be talking about that. Again, it's a little bit late. It's been out for a while, not in theatres. Don't remind Doug Liman, though. And we got a couple of news stories up top as well. There's not been a great deal of significance going on. There was a Joker 2 trailer, but it's just, it's just more of the same. I didn't like that, so we're not covering that. You can go and watch like the Watch Mojo breakdown or whatever it is you people are doing when you're on YouTube, not watching us because you're waiting for 3 fucking weeks. But that's fine.
People are waiting with bated breath. You know what I mean?
They are starving of oxygen. They haven't made it, unfortunately. Them and McManus are probably all just suffocating in a room somewhere. Hopefully.
I say hopefully.
Well, no, only for one of them. Only for one of them. All right. I don't want to use the word waste of oxygen. But all of a sudden, I feel like my airwaves are flowing a bit too much, so there's some extra going around. But anyway, talking about extra going around, should we just jump straight in, or should I stall? Do you want to stall a little bit longer?
I mean, it's been a minute since I actually talked to you.
Yeah, fuck it. What have you been up to? You've been having a busy time.
Yeah, sort of. I've forgotten what was going on in the interim, but been looking for a new job. Any jobs, anyone?
Any job. If you've got a job, comment in the comment section and let us know. He'll do anything for money. He does this for no money. He will do anything for money. But go on. What you sighting up for yourself? Any prospects?
I do actually have potentially something tomorrow. It's strange because normally when you get an interview, you get days ahead of time. Nowadays, it's just like, might have a Teams talk tomorrow, and then if that goes well, we can get you in Thursday, and then you can have a look around the facilities, and if it's to your liking, potentially you have a job. But I'm like, confirmation of the interview process would be nice. But yeah, it's strange. I feel slightly more relaxed. I've only done one video interview. I don't know if you've done one before, have you? Ever?
No, other than like these. Yeah, I've not
It was
done.
basically like this. It was my first. Well, I'd had like a Skype call or two before then.
Did you play the pot roast intro before you come in?
This was not conceived. This was during COVID, so that was when it was necessary.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel slightly more relaxed knowing that's the situation. Should I get it? But other than that, not a lot. I've applied for quite a lot. I still don't even know. It's redundancies I'm facing, so I could even keep my job, but I don't really want to risk it. And kind of
You got to get the jump on it. Got to be prepared.
That's it. And
like Scar in The Lion King.
Yeah.
Throw your boss off a cliff.
Well, the funny thing is, there's like supervisor roles that have been condensed into these inspector roles, and if I was to apply for them, I would potentially be going over my supervisor or other supervisors. But I'm just like, I don't really want to do that. I'd rather get out and get somewhere else, get some more money, probably.
Yeah, I mean, sure, the change is nice, but the satisfaction of like skipping a couple of rungs up the ladder and then like booting your foot down on the way up,
it could be nice, but I don't.
Down there.
I feel like there's quite the odds are slim. They're not stacked in my favour. But yeah, anyway. Besides that, I've went for a little trip with the missus down to Cornwall.
All over the country, mate.
Yeah, fun drive. Fucking flooded roads and snow. And
and floods.
Yep.
It's almost like there's some kind of global climate crisis happening.
Do you think?
There might be. I don't know.
It sounds like a fucking conspiracy theory to me.
Oh, it's wild talk. How long's the drive though? Because I went to Cornwall. I went to Cornwall once, and from where you are, and that was on train, and it ended up being like an 8 or 9 hour journey, nearly. With all the stopping and changing and stuff. But I imagine a drive probably wasn't that much.
You'd think
quicker.
It would be a bit quick. I mean, I ended up taking the wrong turn on the way there, or forgetting to take a turn. So we ended up taking the scenic route, and that's why we ended up on some dodgy roads that were flooded. But obviously, the main reason it flooded because it did not stop fucking raining for like 4 hours. So some roads were closed due to floods, and then when we got through to like Devon, about an hour away, or an hour and a half, like there was snow, and I'm guessing no one was prepared for it because the grit trucks were only just like coming out, and it was slippery and slidey and nerve-wracking. But yeah, on the way back it was significantly shorter, but we did make a stop in Maple Durham, which is on the west of London, and we went to the Black Sabbath house, or the house that was photographed for the Black Sabbath self-titled album.
Right, because I saw your post and you were like, "Oh, I'm just going to Cornwall. Oh, we're going to go stop off at the Black Sabbath house." I'm like, Birmingham's like the other way, right?
Yeah, it's
like I didn't want to say nothing. I'm like, I'm sure he knows what he's doing, but I did. Yeah. I was doing some mental gymnastics to be like, oh, well, I guess they're like, oh, when we're out driving, fuck it, we'll just go up and down the country, having a proper road trip. But so that's the house from the self-titled album. So not even the good one, really. Like you couldn't go and you couldn't go and see the space cadet bloke, or whatever he is on the in the darkness off of the good album.
Oh man, I don't know. I mean,
was he not available?
Reality's a good album too.
I bet that bloke would be up for it. I bet he's still riding off of that.
Yeah, for fuck knows. I'm trying to place it now. I'm actually thinking. I'm like,
on the Paranoid album, it's like a dude in like an outfit, and he's waving like a thing around, and he's wearing like a helmet. Am I remembering this right?
Oh yeah. It just looks like a fucking blurry acid trip. photo.
That's a real person. That man
I'm
gave his
sure it
life and his soul to be on that album cover, and probably got no royalties off of one of the best-selling, hard rock albums of all time. Yeah, I know it's metal, but it's hard. It's hard rock by
Oh, no,
today's
yeah,
standards, at least.
it looks like a dude actually with like a sword and a shield. If you actually look at it,
Right. I remember
weird.
reading that the album was originally called something different, and they were pissed off because obviously Paranoid was a hit, and then
Mhm.
they changed the name of the album, and then they're like, oh well, the artwork doesn't really make sense now. So I don't know what the original title of the album would have been. One of the other tracks, maybe it was like Fairies Wear Boots or whatever, and they're like, oh, let's put a dude in a weird outfit on there, because fairies wear boots or whatever. And then right at the last minute, the record label would not, no, whoa, hang on. This one's doing all right. Put that on the album,
I think Fairies Wear Boots is on Sabbath, though, isn't it?
Nah, surely not. I'm sure that's the last.
No, you're right. Yeah, it's the
It's
last song. Paranoid.
the last. Come on, George. It's called
I'm
metal. Have you heard of it?
fucking expose myself as a poser.
Oh, that'd be the best if like we found out that this whole time you'd just been like just riding off of like what you read on Wikipedia or something, and it was all phony. Are we hearing from the man that I will not name again, lest he come on the show?
He just said okay.
Okay,
but
I'm gonna message him. Is it? There we go.
Is it okay? Is everything okay? Yeah.
We are stalling so hard, like your car on the icy roads to Cornwall.
Yeah. Well, they didn't stall them, but it stalled the other day, didn't it? So
yeah, that's all sorted now, is it?
Yeah, I'm not going to go into that. That's just boring. But yeah, I mean, it was funny to watch an AA guy go down the hill and like try and jump my car and not be able to jump. I was like,
that's great. That's absolutely great. That's what you pay for, isn't it, really?
On hill. So I imagine he was thinking, fuck, like as he was going down. But yeah.
Mate, I can't imagine the pressure of any job where like you are there to be an expert and do one specific thing, and then you show up and you can't do the thing.
Yeah, it might be
like
pretty humiliating.
Because obviously you're looking at it like, come on, but we've all been there, like where you got performance anxiety, or there's something that's not adding up that wasn't in the in the rule book or the schematics or whatever. But when you're looking at it, it don't matter. It don't matter how many times you've been in that position. When you're looking at it and you're the guy waiting, it's like, come on, you're the AA guy and you can't even jump a car. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it was funny.
You had one job.
I mean, he was a bit of a moody guy, so I don't know. It made it funnier for me, but
yeah, that's fun. Always fun.
Sorted, and it cost far less than I was expecting it to, because he misdiagnosed it as something serious, like starter motor, but it was a ignition relay, which was a fraction of the cost. So, yeah.
Mate, I was the grumpy guy this morning. So more than 2 months ago, I called about a radiator that doesn't work, and I've had so much shit with my water and hot water and heating since I moved into this place.
Oh, yeah,
right? And then it was like January, and I still having problems. Right, I won't go into the details, but I moved in here in like late October, November, and I had no hot water or heating for 6 weeks. Thought it was all sorted. Then we get to January, and now I've got a radiator that conks out on me. I called up about it. They're like, yeah, we'll get to you when we can. Like, cool, whatever. Anyway, so the weather's been quite nice now, not to be a British guy talking about the weather or anything. So I wasn't even thinking about it anymore. Then 8 o'clock this morning, I'm getting banging on the door. I'm like, what is that? Those neighbours are getting out of hand, you know. So I ignore it like 3 times. I'm like, oh shit, no, that's my door. That's absolutely my door. The guy comes in, it's like, got a broken radiator. I was like, yeah, 3 fucking months ago. I had a broken radiator. I haven't even noticed now because the sun is shining, you know. Anyway, so I'm sitting there. I worked a late shift last night, and then I'm just like, I've not been drinking coffee, by the way. I'm off coffee. I'm offy, right? So I'm up at 8 o'clock this morning, and I'm just like sitting on the edge of my bed, just watching this guy take this radiator apart, like screws, screw. It's all electric, right? So it's screw, panel, pulling things out, and it's like, oh well, I don't have the part for that, so I'm going to put it. I was just like, why? You have the radiator parts. You know what you're coming to do. One job. All you do is radiators. Why haven't you got the radiator part? But again, you know, from the other side, they're not fucking clairvoyants or anything. You know, you can't have everything in the van. I mean, I would assume that you could, but let's just assume that they can't have everything in the van. So clang, 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 screw, panel, all the way back on. Fucking an hour for nothing. Never missed coffee so much before in my life as I did today, and that's all fine. And in the spirit of stalling, I am also looking for a new job.
Nice.
I inquired about a job a few weeks ago. He said, call me up on the 11th of April. I should know by then if the jobs are going, what the situation is. I'm like, great. So I'm calling on the 11th of April. I'm getting nothing. So I'm calling on the 12th of April. I'm getting nothing. Luckily, it's just a different department where I already work, right? So I'm like, I'm at work. I hate it here. I don't care. I'm going to go over there and, you know, see the potential mistress while I'm at my current spouse's place of residence, right? I'll go over there. And it was like, oh, yeah, you know, these phones, you know, there's so much stuff going on, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, cool. So it's like, so what's the situation? You know, like cut to it or whatever. And, you know, because you're trying to be polite because, you know, this is somebody that you're trying to get a job with, but also like, you know, I've waited 2 weeks plus 2 extra days, like to come and sort this out. And you're like,
yeah, the ball was in there.
Yeah, the ball was in your court. And it's like, well, I'm still not sure. We've got some temps. We're not sure how long they're going to be temping, I guess. And then I was like, okay, so I'll call back. It's like, no. Don't keep calling us. I know where you are. I'll come and find you. To me, that's like, leave me alone. It's not happening. You know, go back to your wife.
Yeah.
Like, it just, it didn't fill me with confidence. It didn't fill me with confidence. He could be telling the truth. It could be genuine.
Yeah.
But we'll see, I guess. You'll know, our many viewers, you will all know when this has happened because things will start changing. There'll be gold trim along the wall, you know, gold chains adorning my chest. You know, George would have bought some metal albums and done his research. Like, we're all going to be moving on up in the world. The camera quality will get better. The sound quality will get better. The bland banter will stay the same. McManus will still be gone because I've got enough money now to hire somebody to like go and deal with that particular problem. Right? If he doesn't fucking get in here soon, I will be contacting who would you get? Who's a good like movie contract killer? Like, do I get the professional? You know, and he gets like, McManus gets like sniped out by like a baby Natalie Portman situation, you know, because that'd be fun.
Yeah.
You know, or do I do like a what's the other one? You know, maybe like a John Wick, you know, which is probably overkill.
Yeah.
There's no room full of like goons to take out before he gets to him. He just kicks in the door, pap, and he's just out the door again. You know, or
Yeah.
like an Agent 47. I could have a dude who's disguised as a dude who's like working in the chicken shop or whatever, and then he like sprinkles some cyanide on his chicken. You know, is it okay to talk about this
I don't know.
live online?
I guess
I mean, we are not being serious. All right, George isn't being serious. I'm being serious. I will find a fool to fuck a fool for a fool. All right, because we are nothing but dedicated here on the Pop Roast podcast. There's the guy who took 3 weeks in between the last video, but other than that, we are dedicated when it counts.
Yeah, I mean,
you're getting nothing.
No, at the moment.
20 minutes in, not a single news story.
Luckily,
go on.
Character in was it Machete? Was it Hitman? He has like an advert and stuff, doesn't he?
Oh, okay, that could work. I'd
probably get him.
Absolutely could work.
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking to see if he replied, but nothing yet. Let's just go on news, mate.
Let's go with some news. That's what you're all not here for.
If anyone decides to watch this post, stream, then they might get a bit bored of us talking shit for 20 minutes.
It's fine. It's all just mundane, everyday shit that nobody cares about. We barely even care about it.
Yeah.
But we're trying to care because we've got to make up because for the other people that don't care because they're not here, so we're trying to care a little bit extra.
So I was about to say, it's just as well, I enjoy just chatting shit with you, really, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's lovely, but maybe not everybody feels the same. I've based on the amount of times I've been left on red in my life, you're probably the only one. But that's fine, because that is one more person than the amount of people that are probably interested in the G.I. Joe and Transformers crossover that we are apparently getting.
Yeah, apparently.
Right, so they teased this. I think we've talked about this briefly at some point. They teased this at the end of the last Transformers movie. It's like a post-credit scene kind of situation. So a dude, like the main guy is like finished up dealing with all the robots and stuff, and then like an agent dude in a suit shows up and he's like, "Come with us. We got some stuff to talk about. We know you've been dealing with these robots transforming into other things, right? But we're a special unit of people." And then he shows him a card, and it's like, just says G.I. Joe on the card, I think.
Oh wow!
And it's like, and he I get ahead of myself. He takes him into like a warehouse, right? The agent like walks, they do like a walk and talk. He's setting up the big reveal, and then they get into a warehouse, and it's just like or is it like an air hangar or something? But they get in there, and it's just like an empty fucking warehouse hangar thing. There's nothing in there. You think like of all the history of like G.I. Joe toys of planes and jeeps and trucks and fucking tanks, they could sprinkle something in the background that would tell you what this scene was setting up, because it even looks like on the card like they just like put that in post, like they didn't even know. They're just like, we're just going to put a dude in a warehouse and we're going to say that there's something interesting happening, and we'll figure out what the interesting thing that's going to happen is later, because we're not sure if we have the rights or whatever, for G.I. Joe, which is what it says in the article from Comic Book Movie.
Good old comic book movie.
Good old comic book movie. Loved them for a long time. Kept me going. So this was during CinemaCon, which has been going on last week now, I think. The mysterious Agent Burke. Like you could have like an Agent Smith or a Nick Fury. We've got Agent Burke. So
I
that's
just think of the
fine.
company Ryan
I
Slam.
don't know if that's a dude, an agent dude from G.I. Joe or whatever. It's not my thing.
Berkeley Hunt.
But he says we're in. Oh, okay, we've got the quote now. He says we're in the middle of an ongoing war, and it's like, yeah, there was giant robots have been like destroying cities for the last like 2 decades. It's not a secret, and if you're the guys in charge of keeping this shit fucking on lock, you've not done a very good job so far. So what are you going to do now with your empty warehouse? So they, yeah. So one of the producers called one of the other producers, and he's pitching a GI Joe Transformers crossover. They're both Hasbro properties, you know, from the same era. They're probably two of the biggest like toy / animated / comic kind of properties from the 80s, really. You know, you've got these two, and then you've got He-Man, but for fuck's sake, don't get any ideas. That'll come another time. So anyway, I think conceptually it makes sense, right? You know, as I mentioned, you know, G.I. Joe is all like tanks and trucks and planes and boats or whatever. And then Transformers are all tanks and trucks and planes and boats or whatever. So are you, did G.I. Joe, did that get in your radar?
I didn't really watch the cartoon. But I do remember having one G.I. Joe in particular that had like the pull string, like helicopter blade thing. So it would fly for about 2 seconds and then inevitably fall down.
Crash and burn, yeah.
Pretty quick, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have any stake in this. I don't hate the Transformers films by any stretch. So
I think they're mostly fine. They do the job that they're supposed to do. You know, they are just sort of like very broad, you know, sort of kid-friendly action adventure with some really naff comedy in most of them. But if you're going to Transformers for the yucks, then you need to get a fucking life and some culture, and maybe go and see like, you know, a comedy, what's like a modern comedy, like an Animal House, right? You know, like,
is that a modern?
So I don't know. There's not a lot of good comedies anymore. Different conversation for another episode, maybe. But yeah, like, people are like, oh, it's just a whirlwind of like soulless CGI metal parts flying around. It's like, well, it's fucking Transformers.
Yeah, well, how else are you going to do it?
Like, what do you want? What do you want?
Unless you do it, unless it's animated, like, which
there is an animated Transformers film coming out, actually. I think that's this year or maybe next year.
Well, obviously the cartoons are all, animated.
Yeah, I mean,
the whole point was to make a live action Transformers film. What do you expect it to be like, except a fucking CGI wankfest? Like,
yeah, and you've always got people like, oh, but they didn't respect the law of Unicron. It's like, whatever. I mean, admittedly, you know, the logic and some of like the internal like plot structure and stuff of the movies is not great. It's not great.
No.
But you do get what you do get the main thing that you would want from a Transformers movie, and that's fucking robots transforming into fucking things and fighting other robots that transform into other things.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's fine, absolutely fine. I think the third one's probably the best one. I did see, obviously, the most recent one, which was Rise of the Beast, which had the awful credit scene in there.
Is that so? Sorry, correct me if I'm wrong. Are those films responsible for us having Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox in the world?
Well, I think Shia LaBeouf was like, was he like a Disney Channel kid or something? He was like, he was around as like a child actor, you know, and as we've spoken about before, you know, some of those child actors, those psyches are sure, reaping the repercussions of such a lifestyle. That is not
Yeah,
that is not 100% of a healthy man. That, as far as I can tell, with the Shia LaBeouf situation, I think Megan Fox is probably. I don't know if that was her first role, so it might be responsible for giving us Megan Fox. However, I will say that Megan Fox has put in a couple of okay things over the years. I say a couple, probably
yeah,
like Jennifer's Body. I thought was pretty great.
Yeah, it's a pretty good film.
And it played into her strengths.
Sure, her acting chops.
Acting chops.
No, I wasn't saying. I wasn't saying that like an overly negative thing. Like, but yeah, I don't know. Did you come up on Transformers and stuff?
I had Transformers reruns recorded on somebody's old VHS tape that was given to me, and I had a box of like Transformers figures that were handed down to me, but I didn't have all the parts to all of the robots. It was a bit of a crapshoot. But I did have 2/3 of Metroplex. Don't like to brag. Metroplex is the big robot that turned into a base, and he came in 3 different sections that would all connect together and make a big robot, or you could flatten them out and you had like a heli carrier thing with like a little garage and some missile launchers and a little base for the other like Transformers. I had 2/3 of him. I had an Optimus Prime with no paint on it, so it was just a bald white Optimus Prime. Albino Prime is what I had. I had a Starscream that had like half a wing missing. But I was an appreciator of the Transformers. I just wasn't a privileged appreciator of the Transformers. I had what I had. Okay. And I like them. I've read some of the comics and stuff, like when I was sort of in my late teens. It's late teens. I'm not even going to try and. I'm not even going to try. All right, I was 20. All right, and I'm reading. It's fine. Not judge him. But for somebody who didn't get into those things as a kid, because I didn't have the money, hence why I had 2/3 of a Metroplex. So I kind of didn't get to appreciate some of that stuff until I got older, and by that point, it's not like how stuff gets burned into your like personality when you get to enjoy it firsthand as a kid or whatever. So I like the Transformers. I'm not super crazy on the Transformers. Obviously, robots that turn into things is great and fun and cool, and at least 1/3 of the movies are fine. So that's a ringing endorsement from the Pop Roast podcast, I guess.
Yeah, I think I must have just seen the first couple.
Yeah. And I have nothing about G.I. Joe. I missed G.I. Joe completely. I had older cousins and stuff who were kind of into it a little bit, but that one just completely missed me. And I don't know. It's like, let's just cut out the robots and let's just have dudes with vehicles. It's like G.I. Joe to me is like Transformers without any of the good shit in it. You know what I mean? It's just military propaganda. That's what it is.
Pretty much.
And that's fine. If that's what you're into, serve and protect, whatever.
I'm sure that was in the 80s. It was like, oh, let's get a toy out there that will make some kids want to join the military as soon as they can.
Oh, absolutely. That was absolutely a part of it.
So
it's got to be. I mean, G.I. Joe existed. I think it was in the 60s and 70s as well, but they were like the big like Action Man style figures.
Yeah. Right.
And then they did the revival in the 80s with the cartoon, and they shrunk the figures down because that was what Star Wars had. Yeah, because Star Wars took off, and everyone was like, "Oh fuck, what else can we make like cool like 3.25 inch action figures out of?" And Poor G.I. Joe was first in line to get shrunk down and packaged up for the masses.
Oh, well.
So, you know, we're going to see. There's no director attached to this, which is the same story as the next news story that we're going to be talking about, which it's just producers just announcing things. And it's like, probably attach a director before you announce these things, because so many times we've seen things just fall by the wayside. They're like, because the producers have got like, they've built up this image of exactly what they want, and then the directors are just like, well, you've kind of already like set it out to be this one way, and now there's no freedom for us to come in as a fan and kind of do our take on it, because you've kind of just, you know, you're just trying to sell this package of this, like, you know, this poster and merch thing that you want to like money, you know, make money off of, which is what everything is. But you know, there's, you still don't need to put the cart before the horse. You can still do all of those things and be successful, but start with like a creative vision, as opposed to just being like, what if this, and then we'll find a guy that will fit into that or whatever. You know, it could be good. It could be good, but I think this is probably 10 years too late for the G.I. Joe. I mean, there's been Snake Eyes, which did pretty terribly from what I understand, the Snake Eyes movie. And then for an actual G.I. Joe movie, I think the last one was like 10 years ago. So, you know, maybe do another G.I. maybe, because the Transformers have kind of picked up pace again. It kind of had a little bit of a slump, right? And then they did, after like the first 4, then they did like Bumblebee and then Rise of the Beasts. Maybe throw in another G.I. Joe movie and test the waters out a little bit and get people ready. It reminds me of when they did Batman v Superman, right? Should have been an epic event, like that would have made like billions, but they're just like, we've done one Superman movie. Oh, quick, let's have him fight Batman. It's like, massage it, build it. You know, there's a reason that the MCU movies were so successful, because they slow burn that, and they built that up and they earned it. You know, it wasn't just like Iron Man, boom, Avengers, boom, Guardians of the Galaxy. They took their time, you know, and again, it's a thing where it can be packaged and it can be, you know, built to sell merch like a lot of things are, but there's a way to kind of, it doesn't have to be an either or situation, you know. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm looking forward to the Transformers animated movie. I think that'll be fun, like a full CGI fest, you know, set on Cybertron. It could be good. So, I mean, I'll be interested to see that one at the very least. This, probably not so much. But there's a lot of people that love G.I. Joe. That is a popular franchise. So maybe it will do well, better than we think. But from one popular 80s franchise to another one, and thank God this isn't all the same story, because it would just be a clusterfuck. I wouldn't put it past it to get to this point. Maybe, I'm talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, by the way, maybe this can cross over with He-Man. I don't know.
Oh, that could work. Definitely.
I mean, maybe.
I think that definitely could work.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves. What we're talking about is, because we talked about the comic book of this, I think early on in the Pop Rose podcast timeline, I talked about The Last Ronin, which is sort of a more adult-oriented dystopian future set turtle comic, in which there's one turtle left, the world has gone to shit, and now this one turtle has to rise up, you know, in the wake of the death of his brothers. Which turtle was it? I won't tell you, because that's a reveal if you want to go read that comic book. It's pretty good. It's not great, but it's an entertaining read. And, you know, we've seen that. I think I said this before. We've seen it 100 times with Dark Knight Returns or Logan or whatever. You know, old man warrior comes back in, you know, for one final, you know, gusto of fighting the man or whatever. But it is that, and it does that just fine. But in the wake of Because last year we had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, which we also reviewed, and that was very much a kid-oriented. Surprise, surprise! It's Teenage Turtles, but that was very much a kid-oriented, like animated movie that I thought really nailed the teenager aspect of that IP and was really entertaining. If you haven't seen it, definitely go and watch it. It's really fun.
Yeah.
If you think like the Spider-Verse animated movie, or it's very much in that kind of vein, and it's pretty good. But now we're flipping it back to all the adults that are still fans of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and this is confirmed so far to be an R-rated live-action adaptation of the Last Ronin comic book storyline, which again, no director is attached, but it's being produced by a guy called Tyler Burton Smith, who co-wrote Boy Kills World and the Child's Play reboot, which I didn't see. I don't think I saw it. Maybe I did. I don't know. That's not a good sign.
No.
But anyway.
I don't know. I can't tell you.
No, did you see that?
No.
You didn't see the Child's Play reboot?
Oh no, yeah, I did. Sorry, no, yeah, we both have. We've both seen it. Sorry.
Did we talk? Yeah, I think we talked about
the AI
it.
aspect to it.
Yeah. It was fine.
I remember you were a bit down on it in comparison to me. I thought it was good, but there was more to be explored with that aspect of things. But overall, the film looked good. I thought it flowed. From what I remember, I was as far as horror, remakes go, it was pretty.
It was well made, yeah, and it wasn't just super schlocky. And they took a swing. They tried to do something with it, and it didn't seem like they didn't care when they were making that movie. They just took an angle that not everyone was on board with. And I think I would have been fine with the AI angle in general if they just would have done more with it. But it was just an AI to get into the basic Child's Play story that we've seen before. It didn't really utilize that aspect of it as much. But anyway, so this guy's produced a couple of things, one which is okay that we didn't even remember that we'd seen, and another one that is also sort of like a dystopian sci-fi sort of kids adjacent movie with Boy Kills World. So it's probably the right guy to be doing this, not the director. We'll see who they get. But I'm interested to see what they do with this. Is it a CG? Is it, because it says live action, but obviously the other Teenage Mutant movies were live action, but the Turtles, obviously in the most recent ones, were CGI. Do they do a CGI turtle, or do they, in the effort to appeal to the old school fans, do they do an old school practical turtle to kind of amp up the realism and the grittiness of it? What do you reckon?
Cool. But I reckon it will probably be CGI.
It'd probably be CGI. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. But it would be cool. You must have seen that meme where it's the old somebody's selling one of the old turtle costumes on eBay from the old movie, and the face is all rotted away. You can see the teeth are all exposed. You must have seen that, right?
Yeah, I know. I wish I'd kept that fucking clip of those cosplayers. The best turtle costumes ever. That was incredible.
Mate, yeah, I love a good creative turtle costume, and I think in other things of trying to get back to more a practical, even if it's CGI, but it's CGI with the intent of trying to make it look like a more practical thing. There's definitely a market and a sort of thirst for that kind of stuff now, where where they did a Dark Crystal series, they didn't CGI it, it didn't do well either, but probably not for that reason.
No.
But there's definitely a want for more practical puppet animatronic style effects in things. A lot of
Yeah.
people were eager to get back to that, so maybe there's a way they can do it. You would still have to like touch it if you're going to have like crazy, epic fight scenes or whatever.
Oh yeah.
You're probably going to need to. You can't. I'm a realist when it comes to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I know we can't have it all.
Yeah.
But I think this is good. I think it's promising that they're acknowledging that, like, you know what? It's not just like, okay, these properties are for kids, these properties are for adults. It's like, well, you can do different versions of any kind of property, really, and they can coexist. And people are savvy enough now to not be like, it's a fun teenage turtle movie, I'm gonna take my 6-year-old, and then it's just like a lone Shogun warrior like slicing up cyborgs in the future. I think people are sort of more on board with that kind of diversity in like the types of stories that you can do with some of these properties that are associated with more generally like a more light-hearted vibe, which is crazy because Turtles originally wasn't a light-hearted vibe at all. It was very much this dark, gritty, violent, stabbing in the streets kind of feel to it. So happy to get back to it. Don't know when we're going to get this. No release date, no director. There's also a video game that's been announced that is also adapting this story. So they clearly, like, I think the comics for this must have sold really well. People are talking about it. And now they just want to capitalize off of that. I do also think they're doing a sequel to the Mutant Mayhem as well. So we can hopefully have our turtle cake, and eat it.
Lovely.
So looking forward to that. And that's light on the news. And we're also light on McManus. I'm just checking in. Running all the way, he says. But I've never seen McManus run before. But if there's a time, this would be the time.
This would be the time.
Have you checked? Is he waiting? He's not waiting in the room, though?
Nah.
No, he's not waiting in the room.
And I'll add you in, thinking that he would actually get here in time for our topic du jour.
Because we are getting to the topics now, I mean, where do we go from here? Because should we?
Fuck's sake!
All right, so should we talk about Roadhouse? I guess because I haven't seen Kong.
Look at those
pecs. Oh, peck to peck.
Look at
sweat on sweat, skin on skin.
Timing's impeccable. Look at that.
No,
I was talking
I thought you said the timing was impeccable. I thought he'd come in with his pecs like ready. All right. So
well, I would talk. Yeah, obviously, I didn't prepare anything for Kong anyway. So
whatever. Don't worry about it. The movie came out like nearly 2 weeks ago now. I mean, this came out even longer ago, but we were set on doing this.
Well, the funny thing is, we were ready to talk about this. I had all these little things prepared, and then it didn't come out for another week. So we were like, "Oh fuck!"
Yeah. Because the release date on Amazon was different, where depending on where you looked, and that's all fine. It didn't get a theatrical release, as we've mentioned both today and other days. Unfortunately, I mean, I say unfortunately, this is a streaming movie. This isn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have wanted to have paid to go and see this. Really, not to play my hand early or anything. I mean, it's fine. So we get into this. It's
You're gonna start. I was gonna stall it a minute.
Are we still stalling?
Still stalling.
Because I could.
Some other Jake Gyllenhaal films that we like.
I mean, look, I'm a fan of Jake Gyllenhaal. I think Nightcrawler is superb.
Yeah,
He
no,
absolutely commits to everything that he does.
absolutely.
Big fan of him. The fact that he hasn't won an Oscar yet, I don't think. He got completely snubbed for Nightcrawler that year. I think that was in 2014. Didn't even get a nomination. And everyone thought that he was going to be like one of the contenders to win Best Leading Actor that year. Didn't even get nominated. But obviously, you know, going back, Donnie Darko, this dude's done, you know, he's done fighting, boxing movies before. He's done Marvel stuff. You know, he's pretty versatile. Yeah. He seems to be a pretty likable dude in all of the interviews and things that I've seen.
Yeah, he's an odd fella, to be fair, from what I've seen.
Yeah.
But a good one you can root for.
Yeah, and until we hear something bad about him, we absolutely can root for him, you know.
Yeah,
and again, talking about like people who've been like famous since they were like kids, seems to be relatively screwed on from like interviews and stuff. Doesn't seem to be a complete sociopath, which is always a bonus. Plays one really well in Nightcrawler and in this.
Mm-hmm.
He's a bit more sociopathic than I was expecting in this.
Yeah, but like a light-hearted sociopath.
Fairly light-hearted until
we
get into it. Yeah.
Sorry, fuck's sake. Yeah, I just guess we're just gonna have to talk about it. I guess
we'll just go. We'll just go into it. So, you know, we've all seen the original Roadhouse. It's fine. You know, it's not like an Oscar-winning movie. It's just a kind of kitschy sort of bro action sweat fest from the 80s. Or is it early 90s? I think it's 80s.
Late 80s.
Patrick Swayze, obviously.
Yep.
And they've been trying to get they've been developing this Roadhouse reboot for quite a while. About 5 or 6 years ago, there was talk of a Ronda Rousey starring in a Roadhouse remake, which maybe could have worked at the time, but her star kind of dipped really quick, as some of these UFC types tend to do. You know, their careers like building. It's just like one loss and nobody gives a fuck anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could have worked at the time. I think if they would have done a female-led Roadhouse movie now, I think people would be a lot more upset about it than they would have been 5-6 years ago, right? Because, you know, there's a lot of dudes out there who are threatened by powerful women, don't want them coming in here, taking all our roles, taking all our jobs, you know, and not taking our dicks, just not making our sandwiches. Like these dudes, some of these dudes would have had a problem with that. So at some point, you know, the development of this kind of changed gears, and then they were like, right, we're going to get back to sort of a more traditional Roadhouse, which is wild because I just never thought like a Roadhouse movie shouldn't really work in today's age, really. And a lot of the reasons why I think are kind of highlighted in this movie. So Jake, what's his name? Is he called Dalton in this, or is he called something else? He is called Dalton, right? Rick Dalton? Am I getting that right? Rick Dalton.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody remembers the names of these people, man. They're just pieces of meat on a screen.
It's just Dalton. It is actually
just
credited as just Dalton.
Oh wow. Okay, so we open up and bold choice because it's like he's getting himself into brawls, he's getting stabbed, and then he's just like, okay.
Don't just breeze over it. We open up with him at an underground fucking, you know,
right, the underground cage fighting situation.
And who's in there fighting away?
Who is in there fighting? Is it Post Malone? It's not actually Post Malone.
Malone.
Is it actually Post Malone?
Yeah.
I thought you were just joking because the dude looked like Post Malone.
No, it's actually him. So
Why is everyone getting their
was like-
fucking acting debuts in this?
I was like, that looks like Post Malone. And I was like, I looked it up and I was like, oh yeah,
It is actually Post Malone. I had no idea. Not that I'm a Post Malone
I mean,
guy
I'm
or
not
anything.
a fan of his music. I know he's a legit metalhead. Apparently, he probably knows.
Yeah,
all
he knows what album Fairies Wear Boots is on.
He might.
He
But-
went all the way to Cornwall before he realised that Ozzy lived in Birmingham. He went on the pilgrimage. All right. But no, Post Malone begrudgingly seems like an okay dude from what I've seen. He seems genuine enough, but did not know he was in this. I just thought we were just joking because the dude looked, any dude who's got like a man bun and tattoos on his face is just Post Malone.
Fucking buzz cut, I think. Or like a mullet.
Well, in this, yeah.
But yeah, he's in there. He beats shit out some guy, and then you can just pay apparently to get in there and fight.
Oh, classic, yeah. No,
it's in there with his hood up.
No screening process whatsoever.
No, but as soon as he reveals who he is, Posty's character
Don't want to fight him.
I ain't fighting him.
And it's an ongoing thing in this movie of like the legend of Dalton.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to fight him. Everyone knows who he is. We all know like he, not to be messed with. We never really find out why.
Well, I assume that
we find a little bit, but we still don't really get to the root of why. Yeah, and I don't want to jump ahead too much because that's sort of like a bit of a reveal, but it's not even really a whole reveal. It's just a half-assed reveal.
I guess what?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to
Hey, hello.
Hey there.
Howdy. I'm sorry. Sorry for the time.
All right. You're here just in
Post
time.
Malone in the flesh, ladies and gentlemen.
You knew Post Malone, didn't you?
Yeah. It's when that scene happened, it's like, no fucking way. Like, he's in everything these days.
Is he in other stuff as well? I've not seen him in anything.
Yeah, he's in the Netflix movie with Matthew Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg, sorry.
Mark Wahlberg.
Matthew Wahlberg. Are we able to get your mic up a little bit?
Yeah, let me see. Where is it?
Can you see settings?
Yep, there you go.
Audio. You might be able to boost yourself a little bit.
Yeah, just pump it up. Make your presence known so we can be 100% sure that you are actually here. We like a bit of that. We like a bit of volume.
Yeah.
Both with our beard and our ears.
Speak. Manhead.
Better?
Absolutely not.
How about
Oh, we got feedback loop as well.
We have got a feedback loop.
Excellent.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are we able to do anything from your end, George, or is this what we're working with?
I've got the mic volume here, just want to turn it up all the way.
All right, no, that'd be fine.
Yeah?
Yeah, if you turn it up all the way, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Crank it up.
Maybe come a little bit closer to your... Lean into it.
Come a little bit closer, baby. Get it on. Because tonight is the night where two become three. Anyway, I better be careful because I'm so accurate with the voices that we will get copyright flagged. They were like, are they playing Spice Girls on their show? Cut it out. So anyway, McManus, we're just getting into Roadhouse.
Yep.
We see Roadhouse. We got a cage fight at the beginning. The dudes, they don't want to fight him. But then we don't really know why they don't want to fight him. And what's your overall thoughts going into this? You're a fan of the original, and then when you see the this opening, are you in, or are you still skeptical?
Honest truth, I watched the original 3 days before, and I absolutely loved it.
Was that your first time watching it, or did you?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
When you love the
man.
original.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. Awesome movie.
Spicy.
And then I watched obviously this one, and I was because of I heard all the people talking about it, but then I was like, it's Roadhouse. How bad can it be? And it's got one of the most people I kind of despise in it, so I've definitely got to watch it now. And then, and I was watching the actual UFC live here at stupid o'clock in the morning, and then Jake Gyllenhaal just takes the octagon for about an hour. So I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? And this turns out to be it.
Yeah, because when they go on.
Yeah. Watched it. It's like all the crowd, like they were bought into it for the first 10, 15 minutes, and then they started fighting the octagon, and then they just started getting chants like, what's going on, all the shit like that. It was, you're taking up our time. Like, we bought tickets, we came in not to see Jake Gyllenhaal like pretend to knock someone out.
Yeah, I would have been pissed if I would have paid for an event. They're like, whoa, hang on, we just got to pause everything so a celebrity can come through, do a little bit of a photo shoot. But those, what I was going to say is those images that came out of Gyllenhaal at the Octagon or whatever, doing all these stuff. If it wasn't for those images coming out a year ago, I would have known in this movie what the deal with this dude was. That was the only kind of clue that we had, because they really don't get into it until later on when we kind of get some flashbacks and stuff. And even then we still don't really fully get into it, but again, we'll get into that later. So he's like, how is he making one of the many logic holes in this, how is he making his money? Because they're is he going to this underground fight club? Is he doing that every night? Or this is his first time, but also they know who he is and they don't want to fight, and also, but he's making his money doing that, and it's you know what I mean?
Surely think they'd clock on and be like, you can't come round here.
Because that's not good business sense.
No,
it's
exactly.
not good business sense. Why would you pay this dude if you know that he's going to come in and the other guy's not going to fight him? Because surely that's what's happening every week or whatever. And this movie is played with bad business sense. There is so much of it, and I know that's not what the movie is about, right? So he comes out, right, and then he gets stabbed, and he's just like, oh, okay, that's fine. And then this fucking woman pounces in. She's like, I like the way you got stabbed there, homie. I like the way that you just let yourself get stabbed and didn't do anything about it. You seem like a dude who can come and do something about my bar that's struggling. Why? You just stood there and took a knife to the chest for nothing. Why you feel like this? You want to put your eggs in this fucking basket? And then she's like, yeah, $5,000 a week. How many bars are making this money where you can pay just a dude to walk around $5,000 a week? And if you're making that much money to be able to pay that, then because you could have a whole security team for less than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But this is the plot device. This is what happens.
Obviously, it's a plot device. But
I get where you're coming from.
Just straight away, I'm just I'm not invested in this. I don't. And it is a stupid concept anyway. But I feel like there's ways you could have written it better to set this up where. And again, as much as we don't get Dalton's history, we don't know why this bar even needs him. Really. We don't find much of that out, and when we do eventually find out, it's kind of a little bit underwhelming, because the whole time you're like, well, they're not burning it down, they're not just destroying the place, so obviously they need the building, and she needs to protect the building, like,
The
and
building doesn't really get protected, does it?
not only does the building not get protected, but it's like the big reveal, and one of the big reveals is that no, they just want to like bulldoze this whole town for like other stuff. So why do they need to terrorize this fucking place when you could just burn it down like that? She claims the insurance money on top of the $5,000 a week that she's saving, paying for fucking freelance security man who just lets himself get stabbed.
But you forget the you know, the plight of the small business owner. That's, you know,
$5,000 a week for one security guy. $5,000 a week.
Small business is affording.
What is the plight of the small business here? Because it's absolutely fine.
She's
like
like
on the same premises as the original, basically.
exactly.
Like if you haven't seen Roadhouse and you're watching Jake Gyllenhaal, because most people out there will probably be like, "Oh, Jake Gyllenhaal," and melt like butter in a microwave, and like, I'm going to go watch it anyway. But if you haven't seen the original Roadhouse, the movie's not kind of makes sense, because it's going to be like, what? Fighting? Fighting. You need to see the original Roadhouse for this movie to kind of make sense, I think.
That's exactly what I'm saying. We only know that like this stuff needs to happen to get to that point because we know the premise of the original Roadhouse. Without that, there's just no driving force to the plot, and no logic or anything. And again, you know, it's just a, you know, broy kind of action movie. So logic doesn't have to be at the forefront, but at the same time, like, you know, like Commando, right? It's like they've kidnapped the daughter. I've got 12 hours to get the kidnappers before they, you know, kill the kid or whatever. Like, and then that's logic. Everything else that happens within that is completely fucking ridiculous. You know, machine guns, barrels, everything's blowing up when it doesn't need to blow up. He's picking up cars and throwing them down a mountain or whatever. But because we've got that foundation of something that we can kind of buy into, everything else kind of, you know, you can just, everything else gets your pass. Yeah. And that's absolutely fine. But when just like, again, the foundation of it is just like so wishy-washy, and it just relies on you having known the movie, or, you know, haven't seen the fucking promo images of Jake Gyllenhaal in the UFC octagon or whatever. It's just like Doug Liman said when he moaned about this going to streaming that this was his best movie.
I think they all say that, don't they?
Well, yeah, you've got to, but also try a little bit. Try a little bit. So, go on.
I don't want to go. There's no point going fucking beat by beat here. So, come on, let's just speed it up. Sorry, but like, I mean, it moved. I thought it moved along at a pace. You know,
it
for
does,
2 hours.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, the first I was expecting nothing. The first like 45 minutes, I was actually like, do you know what?
It was okay.
Like, 45 minutes, I was like, I'm actually entertained. Like, I'm digging. You know, obviously as a Gyllenhaal fan anyway, I was like, oh, it's cool. Like to see him just.
Yeah.
You know,
the slap fight was fucking great. He took everyone out with slaps, and then he's also like, "Oh, you've got a broken rib. Do you need a ride to the hospital or whatever?" Like this whole affable, like reluctant, you know, fighter kind of dude works really well for the first chunk of the movie. And then all of a sudden, he just snaps into a sociopath just because the plot needs him to, because they needed to up the ante.
Yeah.
But I was really, like you say, the first half of it, I'm like, okay, I'm invested. It's moving along at a nice chug, and it's like it's building it up. Like it's slowly, the stakes are kind of getting ramped up. And then at one point they're like, well, if this was. And again, it doesn't have to be completely realistic, but they're like, if we keep moving at this like solid pace, it's going to need to be an 8-hour-long movie before we can get to like some crazy action, you know. So then it just all of a sudden they're like, we need to like kick this up into a different gear for no reason, you know. With a villain, the whole movie, we've got this villain talking to his dad on the phone in prison, who we assume is going to be like the main villain, right? But we never see him, we never meet him.
Oh, his dad who's in prison.
Yeah, but because we don't know he's in prison at first, we just like the dude's on the phone, right? And he's like the snivelling, you know, Weasley, like rich kid kind of guy. And we're just like, oh, okay, whoever he's talking to on the phone, that's going to be like the end game or whatever. And we don't get that. And then eventually just the dude who's on the phone, just like, well, I'm going to get another dude. And
yeah.
And I think, I don't know how you feel about Manners, but me and George have kind of briefly touched on this in conversation. But it really brings the movie down into a different part of the gutter, I think.
It takes a fucking huge nosedive as soon as he comes on screen.
But you're a fighting fan, McManus, so you might feel differently. So as the movie starts like kicking in and we're bringing in all these extra characters, do you think was it working for you moving along at that point?
I was honestly saying, like, I was half and half, because I was thinking, what is it going to be? Shit, like, what's it going to like live up to Roadhouse? And there's like, and everyone's like, this is not really going to do. But it kind of went its own way, and I was not expecting the fight scenes or how they filmed connecting, because the way the film's done and the way the sound is when you're punching someone, you're kind of like, fucking punching.
Yeah, so they did they did a new, well, I don't know if it's like a new thing, but there's like a technique that they were doing on this movie where they're filming a lot of people punching like just like green screen like punching bags instead of like the other person. So there's a lot of weight and realism to it, but also it does feel like there's a little bit of a separation, like it's slightly like heightened reality, or, you know, dare I say, completely removed from reality.
Yeah, I've got to say, there was some odd camera-like movements, even like when they're non-fighting scenes. There was just like odd little transition shots where there was, I don't know, there was a lot of weird shots going on. But like, yeah, sorry, McManus.
No, I was going to say, there was a shot where like they both went to the ground, but it looked like the cameraman, when they both were about to hit the ground, the cameraman just jumped, like just flipped over both of them and landed on the opposite side. And it's like the way that was filmed, just like, what the fuck did he just do?
Yeah, there's some pretty erratic stuff going on. But yeah, sorry, just speaking like in the spirit of the original one. Obviously, we had like love interest and stuff. I thought it was so obvious when you saw that woman at the hospital. It's just like, well, yep, that's her.
Yeah,
well, obviously, I mean,
gonna be her. But then, like, she changed from the hard nosed, like, you know, nurse doctor type to like, you know, all up on him.
She changes 3 times, yeah, and because she's like, dude, like, what are you doing? You just like sending all these extra dudes in here to take care for me to deal with when I've already got a load of other patients to deal with. Like, what an arsehole move. But then, after moaning at him about giving her extra patients when she's got real, honest, like, good people that need help, she then throws not only the people that he beat up out the window and her other patients to fucking look after him. It's like, you can't moan at me for giving you extra work and then throw the extra work on the fucking sideline to then help the guy that gave you the, like, it's just like you're doing the hard-nosed thing, but then you chop and change like into this like doughy-eyed, you know, swooning, you know, just run-of-the-mill love interest. And it's like, again, like with Gyllenhaal, it's like the character will just be whatever the plot needs them to be at any given moment, you know?
But yeah, anyway, I think what we was asking of McManus was actually, what was your thoughts when you saw McGregor?
Yeah.
there we go.
When he came into it, it was literally, oh fucking hell, here we go moment. Like, first thing that's going to come out of his mouth is going to be fucking stupid, and I'm going to laugh at it. It's like, fucking hell, there we go. And
he's on the phone, and he's just like, what has he done? Is he just like blew up a fucking house or something? A hotel?
He literally, no, I think it's like, because he's naked, right? And he just bowls into a place, just does the Terminator bit, takes some clothes, and then he just fucking blows up a building. And it's, again, this whole business thing of just like, the internal logic of this universe, just, it doesn't make sense that any of these people or any of these shops or fucking business, how does any of them exist, like, in the weeks or the months or the years before this movie and afterwards? How does anything operate when literally you just walk into a place, you just fucking blow it up, or, you know, or you're just allowed to walk around naked because it's just a funny shot of, you know, we want these people to be walking around naked. Again, just none of the it just doesn't make sense how anything can function in this reality, you know? Yeah. And Conor McGregor is the fucking pinnacle of this, you know, Mr. You're like rough and tough, punch everything in the face, baseball bat swinging, blowing up fucking barbershops or whatever he's doing. And then he's just got like this most perfect teeth that I've ever seen. I'm like, that's not the character at all. You know what I mean? And obviously that's because in real life he's probably had his mouth smashed in so many times he's just got fucking big old fake piano key teeth. Yeah. But like, do something to him to where he's consistent with the kind of character that he's supposed to be, you know?
Yeah.
Or don't.
I wish I could remember, like I said, I was going to go back to see some of those one-liners he was throwing out, but I just remember in that first scene him just
my favourite's got to be is like, our own little octagon. Who taught you shapes?
Oh yeah.
That was a funny line where he's like, you know what shapes are or whatever.
Yeah.
But then for every one of those lines you had 20 lines where he's like, well, I've always wanted to go clubbing, and it's just like, really? That's the level?
It comes in
and
like,
I get he's supposed to be a knucklehead, but it was he's just a cartoon character, and you know, like, and everyone else is just a cartoon character. I mean, you've got Gyllenhaal, who's actually like really, like, for some reason he's like really committed himself to this, even though I think the character does flip and flop when they need it to. He commits to the flips and the flops, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to go back to what I was saying at the beginning, the whole point of this is like, okay, well, he killed a guy in the ring. That's why we don't want to fuck with this guy. He was his best friend, and one day he just snapped and killed him. Why? We never find out why. No, I thought like the reveal was going to be like he was fucking his wife or something, but we never get the reveal of why this normal UFC fighter just decides to, you know, not accidentally kill a guy in the ring, but literally on purpose kills a guy in the ring. We never find out why. We never find out why there was no consequences. Like, it just, nothing adds up.
Well, it's just, I think it is a standard thing to consequences to your actions. Like, literally, you fucking kill a guy, like, you're left to deal with that shit for the rest of your life. And, like, you're always actually going to be exploding. Like, if you get too angry, you're going to explode. And, like, could it happen again? Could it be worse the next time? Like,
the whole point of Roadhouse, to me, is like, or one of the points of Roadhouse is like, Dalton is a guy who's brought in, he's the consequence, right, for people's shitty actions. So it kind of just undersells the whole idea when they're, you know, this whole premise is based on like, okay, well, you fuck around, you find out.
Yeah.
But everyone fucks around and nobody finds out.
I mean, they find out, but you don't find out why he fucked. around to the point
Well,
of
yeah, you know what I mean. Like, they find out, but you don't know why they find out or what they're finding out necessarily. I liked the one guy,
because he wanted
and
the
it was
goon.
the goon who was like hero
Right.
worshipping a little bit. It's like, oh, you broke my arm, but like he's really good. Like, and he's like, he sent me to
Made a
hospital, but he's a good dude or whatever. It's like, and
I made a note of the actor. It's Arturo Castro.
yeah.
As Mo. Yeah, he's just
And-
like a gang member.
Yeah.
He's like, really, I just like riding bikes, and then like I thought they were nice guys, and then it turns out they're not that nice. And
yeah, like that was funny.
but
you need one guy like that. You don't need to have like all the goons are like that.
What he
think-
reminds me of is the Deadpool character, the guy from Hydra who's not in Hydra, but he's like one
Bob.
of Deadpool. Yeah, Bob. Just keeps running into him, and the worst shit happens to him. But he's just, that's what that guy reminded me of.
Yeah, it's fun to have that one like Wile E. Coyote catch where everything kind of just bounces off of him and he kind of takes it in his stride and he's the comic relief or whatever.
I'm sorry,
But
I
then-
didn't breeze
go
over
on.
the fact that the main like goon of his little crew got ate by a fucking alligator. I thought the alligator was going to come into play more, but like
I thought the alligator was going to come back later on at the end with the speedboats and stuff. Like,
yeah,
he was going to have Dalton on the ropes or whatever, and then the alligator was going to come out and fucking, like Hook style or whatever. Like,
yeah.
I like how the police were just like, oh, so it just ate him?
Fair enough.
nobody, again, there's just no consequences for any of this stuff. Nobody cares. Like,
Yeah.
and like the dude, like, it's kind of like accidental that the dude kind of gets killed by the alligator, but then they undermine that it before and after it because Gyllenhaal just like all of a sudden just wants to kill people or just doesn't care anyway.
Yeah.
So like, well, he might as well have just killed that dude and not the alligator. It doesn't really matter,
No, he kills that other dude and fucking nothing happens about it. There's no consequence for anything.
He
really.
just snaps. He just
He's
turns
just
into he goes completely Patrick Bateman and just stops caring about killing anyone. And it's like, well, again, the whole point of this character was that he was like feeling all fucked up over like killing this guy that we don't know why he killed him. And it just like they just kind of dropped that whole plot line, it seems, and in favor of, we're just gonna. And again, it's supposed to be an action movie, fine, but it doesn't mean there can't be, there's got to be some sort of sense of verisimilitude to the whole situation, at least to just to the basic, like the most basic level. Otherwise, because if you do that, then you can do ridiculous shit, and again, you're tied to like some kind of motivation or some kind of consistency with the characters, and we just don't have it at all.
Well, they had they got the main villain from Desperado, don't they? As the jealous bent dad cop.
Yeah.
He just starts off in the face of, he's my father. Oh, I didn't see that coming, did I?
I didn't see it coming because I didn't want to see it coming. I just felt like, again, it would have just been really nice to have had her as just like this wholesome voice of reason.
I thought that her ex was going to be like, the main villain or the villain's son, but that went nowhere as well.
No, either tie it all in so it's all like linked like that, or just have her be like this genuine innocent like bystander to this situation, who's just trying to do the good thing. But again, it's just a case of, well, everyone just does what we need them to do from scene to scene, just to kind of keep this whole premise afloat at the bare minimum level. And then again with the bombs at the end, it like was very kind of predictable. Bombs on a speedboat or whatever. Like, I don't know. Is there anything major that we're missing on this?
Not really. I mean, I was going to say there's a couple like, I mean, it is ridiculous. Like, obviously, he teaches the coolers or whatever you want to call them, like the bar staff and everyone, to
That
fight.
kind of comes in and out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is that easy to fucking evade a knife attack? You just step back and then fucking hit him. But yeah, shit like that.
Because there was no setup for him doing that whatsoever, and then there's just that one scene of him doing that, and then it doesn't really come back into play much either.
Obviously, like, yeah, the original Swayze is like, you know, teaching he's like, you know, be nice until it's time to not be nice or whatever. But yeah, I like that there's a little nod to the original, having the bar behind the chicken wire, the fence and stuff. And
we didn't even talk about the library or the bookshop.
Oh,
like we introduced the kid with the bookshop, and it's like, why is in this town of like, you know, vagrants and criminals, and it's just like, why would this shop be here? How is this shop managed to be here? Oh, it's only here because we need it, because we need to have somebody kind of to have these like little down moments with, you know, in between like the action scenes or whatever, to rile up a bit of sympathy. And that's the only purpose it serves. You know.
But, I mean, yeah.
I
don't know, man. Like, I don't know what else to say, really. Like, like when it gets to that, you know, like the last fucking fight scene, I was like, I've seen so much violence already. I'm kind of numb to it. But
and it's doing,
and it goes. There's loads of fucking shanks, wooden shanks at the end.
Hyper stylized, and it was very like.
Of course you did.
It was very over the top, like when it's like, what film is it? I think it's like I'm going to talk about this maybe later. I think this almost made my list.
Yeah, we need to get the fight list.
It's Hit Girl, when she stabs in the things and she takes out the things and she stabs them in again, and it's just like, I've seen that in like so many movies, and it's like, come on, just have a down and dirty whatever. But you, again, wanted to have their cake and eat it. I think there's a piano pun at some point in this scene, and I'm done.
Like, I think the piano's out of tune, and Conor McGregor says,
I did laugh because he's like getting this snot smashed out of him, and he's like had the thing to say that. But again, it wasn't consistent with the character. Sometimes he was a jokester, sometimes he was this internally tormented, you know, lone warrior type, and either one would have been fine. But anyway, it was entertaining at the base level, so I'll give this like a 2 out of 5 clubs. So that's it.
All right, straight with it. I'd say about 2 out of 5. Fucking wooden shanks.
2 out of 5.
Yeah.
But Manos, what's this out of 5?
It's gonna be a 3.
3 out of 5.
The one I do like, I did like the ending, because like I was just expecting, great, it's gonna get his neck snapped. But the how he just got dun 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 dun. And that was it. And I thought it's honestly going to be the ending, and I didn't find out there was a post-credit scene until 3 fucking days later.
Oh, fuck off! Was there? I got the credits, and I was like, with all the action shots that we've seen throughout the film.
Yeah, well, I didn't make it that far.
I'm done. What was the post-credit scene then? Tell us. Fuck's sake, we didn't do our due diligence here, did we, Dean?
There's those. It goes to silent, and you pan towards the hospital, and then you start seeing nurses inside the hospital going flying that way, hitting the floor, and then the doors open, and the place starts burning down, and guess who fucking walks out?
Right. There you go, everyone.
Knox is
McGregor,
still.
no, it's just McGregor full moon walking into the sunset. Like
Of course he is.
that is what made me like, okay, I'm done. Like, yeah, you're
So
done.
he's still
End of the
alive?
fucking movie. Yes, he's still
fuck's
fucking
sake.
alive.
Fine.
Did anyone ever like actually listen to that Enter Sandman cover? By the way, because like they kept like teasing it.
Yeah, I thought about it. I was like, oh, is that? Because you know what? For a lot of the movie, I thought it was one of those things where like they wanted to use Enter Sandman, but they couldn't get the rights. So they picked they made a song that sounded like almost the same, but it wasn't. And I was going to look it up afterwards, and I completely forgot.
I forgot the woman's name. What is this? Rina Soyana. Yeah, because it comes in at some point, and then it comes in right at the last fight scene.
Yeah.
But yeah,
the
weird.
whole movie, I weren't sure if it was meant to be.
I don't know. All the rest of the bands playing, like they use, like the original film behind the chicken wire and stuff, are all like sort of Cajun rock.
Yeah.
I looked up one of them because the guy had the fucking washboard, fucking steel like washboard vest thing.
Yeah.
Playing at
That's
one
one
point.
thing about the original. Like, as soon as I saw the stage with the chicken wire, everything else that I've seen that were like parodies of Roadhouse, because like you'll see it now and then. It's in or it's just it came from Blues Brothers as well, or it's just an American thing with like stages with chicken wire on it, and even The Simpsons did it, and they're like, oh, so that's from Roadhouse, is it? Like, well,
I would have liked more of those moments like from the original Roadhouse where like he's the first night on the job and they do his tires in and he just goes straight to the trunk of his car and he's got the tires or whatever. He's just like, here we go again. And that kind of just sums it all up. It's like, that shows just like this dude's attitude. It shows that there are consequences and this dude's like prepared to deal with like the stuff that comes with the job, like it was just a little moment that really, just a couple of those kind of moments in this would have really just showed a bit more like, would have rounded it out a little bit more and just made it a little bit more like believable and engaging. But anyway.
In the original, I thought that was really smart of them to do because it shows you how long he's been in the game. For him to go buy a really shitty car and have a really nice car in a lockup for him just to travel to location, like it's actually his car. So he can get to that place, put his fucking car back, go buy a shitty banger because he knows he's going to get a window put in.
Exactly. Just a couple of little things like that would have just kind of made it more like acceptable that like, okay, these people are just about able to like function in this universe, and I think that would have gone a long way. But moving on, do you two want to do a quick 5 minutes on Godzilla Kong?
No. I can sum it up in like 30 seconds. To be honest.
Well, I could do with a 30-second to 1 minute break. So, for reasons I will not disclose.
All right,
and you two just, because I didn't see it, but I'm guessing it just looks like exactly what it looks like.
It's exactly what you think it's going to be.
Just give a quick couple of thoughts on Godzilla. Come back and tell me if I should bother seeing it or not.
Okay. When did you see it, McManus?
I saw it actually 2 days after it came out.
All right. So are you looking forward to it?
Yeah. I was like, I wasn't overhyped. Just like, oh, it's a Godzilla versus Kong movie. What's going to happen here? Who's going to come out of the woodwork to slap the shit out of people? It didn't like disappoint, but it didn't blow my mind because what I thought was going to happen did kind of happen.
Yeah. It's like big monsters are going to fight.
Yeah. Like, these guys are going to beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm, as far as like the Titan films, that these big monster films go. I grew up being, into Godzilla. I watched all the old kaiju stuff.
Yeah.
But I remember watching, obviously, the American ones. It's true they sort of pale in comparison from the ones that I have seen. The older kaiju.
I didn't watch any of the old kaiju stuff until after '97 when I was a kid, and it was like I went to watch the '97 one with my dad, and it was just like the first time I've ever seen a city-sized fucking dinosaur. So like as a kid, you're like, "Fuck is that?" And I was hooked from there. And my dad was the one who told me, he's like, "Oh, you should see the stuff like the old movies. They're old movies, and they're downright terrible, but they're classic."
Yeah, I mean, all the forced perspective stuff, like that was really creative filmmaking for the time, and yeah, it was. I mean, it's a fucking,
like the amount of money that must have gone into them sets back in the day. I don't even want to think about. It's like you got one take to fuck this model up, no more.
Yeah. I mean, sorry. Oh, you're back in now. All right. So, yeah. Where do we start? I mean, I watched this by accident. To be honest, I just met up with Mike, and he was down over, so he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to the cinema." Met up with the usual suspects. Fucking went to Century, so I was like, "Oh, that's cool." But we watched it on one of the fucking sensory experience. Basically, we just watched it with fucking subtitles and the lights. That's all they do at Century.
Oh,
unless obviously I get why they do that for people with,
and they're loving it probably. Everyone else there.
I hope they were.
I hope they were. Well, if you couldn't hear that they were, they probably weren't, because I feel like this is it's just a very much like geared towards like getting certain like crowd cheers and reactions. So it's sort of like like a pantomime of a movie, right? From what
they are building a universe out of this. I did not know there's like another 9 movies left to come.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, let's see. I mean, you got all these titans, right? You got all the big monsters. I always
so there's a lot of the other monsters in this, is what you're saying? Because I thought it was just going to be. Because I thought it was just like Kong Godzilla fighting a big Kong and maybe some other like Kongs or whatever. But they bring in more of the pantheon, like from the other movies or new ones. What are they just generic?
Yeah. Well, you got fucking. Do you want me to go?
Is it like Mothra and all that?
Yes, Mothra's in.
Yeah.
That should be the tagline on the poster. Yes, Mothra's in it.
No, I don't know why. I mean, Mothra's it's fucking lame.
Yeah,
it's not my favourite. I'm just saying, all
it only have to take is for Godzilla just to go, ah, and
swat it away, like a giant lizard swatting a moth away.
He's like, he comes in, it's like, and just slaps the shit out of Godzilla, like, oi, be nice. Like,
yeah, basically.
Like, okay. He's like, oi, be nice, so I'll stick you to the fucking wall.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's some evil monkeys in Hollow Earth.
Evil monkey.
Scar King, I'm not a fan of Scar King because I thought it was just going to be better. No, it's this anorexic orangutan that's the size of a fucking Chrysler building.
So from what I've heard, you spend so much time with just like monsters that it's you kind of lose the scale of the monsters because you just see monsters in like, what is it? Is it called the inner world or the inner earth or whatever? Hollow Earth, there you go. And because of that, you kind of just lose the the sizing and the scale of like both like the creatures and also like the impact of like the action, because there's no real, but
they tried clearing their name in this week, in the last 2 weeks actually, because whatever the ginger little Kong is,
mini Kong,
yeah, he is the size of Kong. He is bigger than Kong was on Skull Island, and that's what they've been trying to clear it up. And it's like, so, and he goes, and there's a point where he actually gets his finger, and he's like, the little girl who's deaf and does the sign language to him is there, and he can still see it. He goes up to, and puts the finger right there. She holds it, and like, that finger does not make sense to his fucking size comparison. And he's just he's lying on the fucking side of this mountain with a toothache.
I didn't know about any of this stuff, so that's.
You feel like they're adjusting it like as and when it kind of suits them from like scene to scene, kind of like what we're talking about with the characters in Roadhouse, right?
As soon as
we're just like, if we need him to be as big as if we need him to be as big as your building, he'll be a bit as big as your building. But if we need him to be able to like touch the girl's finger, he'll be that size or whatever. And it's just, is the action good though? That's really what we're there for.
It's good enough. Like, it's fucking giant monsters. I mean, fucking. It's Kong that suplexes.
I keep hearing about this suplex. Yeah.
Fucking.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
through the fucking pyramid.
Like, there's Fightin Cairo.
Decimates the fucking Valley of the Kings. Like, Egyptians must be pissed over this.
I mean, I kind of want to see it now, based on, because I want to see Godzilla and Kong in Cairo, because we've never seen that before.
Yeah, I have to say, there was a couple bits where I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool, but like, I'm just like, the whole, I don't want to be like one of those fucking kaiju purists or anyone like talking about, back in the day, it was just some dudes in suits.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just looking at a bunch of shit that's been made on a computer. I might as well just be watching a computer game.
One of my favourite parts of that, one of my favourite parts has to be when he comes up through the hole and tries to get Godzilla's attention, and he's like, "Oh!" and he sees him from another fucking continent, and he goes, and whoever is in the closest 10 fucking miles of Godzilla doing a dive board off the side of this fucking mountain that just got decimated by this fucking 100-foot tidal wave.
But I'm guessing it doesn't take the time to really linger on like all the people and like all the ramifications of whatever. You just see them fighting, and you just assume that it's fine.
Destroy fucking half of Egypt and
just imagine that everyone was evacuated. Yeah.
But in a feral way.
You see Rio de Janeiro, they're on the fucking beach, and like people are just getting decimated left, right, and center.
Yeah.
So
okay. Based on the different environments and stuff, I feel like maybe at least if it's like supposed to be like a visual fuckfest, then at least it's got like a reasonable variety of visuals. I'm not going to pay to go and see this now. It will be on streaming probably within the next couple of months. You want to rate it out of 5?
You go first, McManus.
Yeah, it's gonna. It's gonna be 3 because like it was good, but it's not awesome. Like I'm a bit when it comes to movies these days. But,
well, this is the thing. Yeah, 3 what? We need a rating system.
3 out of 5. Sorry.
3 of what?
I ain't got a word for this. 3 out of 5.
Okay.
George, were you? I feel like you're probably like a 2.5, maybe like a 2.6.
Funny enough, like as much as I was like, this is fucking stupid when I got out there, but I was also like, oh, it is what it is. I was entertained enough, probably more so thoroughly throughout the runtime than I was. Roadhouse. So yeah, I'll go for 2.5. Fucking.
Right. So it's nonsense, but it's consistent nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah,
Happy days.
yeah. I mean, the funny thing is, I just before we move on, just like you got fucking Godzilla after apparently he defeated Mecha Godzilla. He just decided to maintain. I saw this from the fucking plot. I wrote it down, but he's like he maintained order between humanity and giant monsters.
Do they do something to leave it open for another
He's
one?
just rested in the Colosseum though. He's just having a snooze, like curled up in the fucking Colosseum. And then when they call on him, he just goes around and starts he's charging up. So he's taking out what's the underwater one, Mass?
I can't remember the name, but yeah, she just basically gathers. It's the most southernest part of where radiation gathers, and this Titan has just been had an ice nest and just been soaking it up. So Godzilla's just gone down to that. I'm taking your power, bitch.
Is that why? Is that why Godzilla's pink?
Yeah.
Is that the explanation? Yeah. Okay, so there is an explanation for that.
Is it Shimo?
I think that's the other one.
That's the
Get a bit of the old Shimo Kimo.
No, that's the one.
The radiation.
Shimo's the one that Scar King has.
Yeah.
In Hollow Earth that uses.
Oh, he's got like a pet, is he? Like a monster that he unleashes.
It's not a pet. He's kind of taken one of her fucking spines out of her back and gone. Oi, oi,
yeah, basically controlling.
Yeah.
It with its own powers or whatever.
That's rough. Leave it open.
Yeah, they don't even explain it. They're just like,
leave it that.
No, but they leave it open for another one, do they?
You got really.
Because it sounds like they're going to do another one. I don't know where you go, really. I don't know what else there is.
In there somehow, just like how all the old kaiju ones were. It's like, oh, here comes another one.
It's
That's the title for the next one, George. Godzilla X Kong. Here comes another one.
There is a TV series, so I think the TV series is linking into the because in the TV series they jump 50 years, and then what's going on? And everyone gets rushed into this bunker, and there's a fucking great Kong coming for the humans, and he's pissed. Why is Kong angry? I'll fill you in when we get in there. Credits.
There we go. They're going to fill you in. You what?
See what you did?
There we go.
I mean, you only added 15 minutes on. It's fine.
Oh, well, it was already... I'd already tagged the Godzilla X Kong in the socials, so I had to... Imagine if somebody literally only watched us because they wanted to hear about that, and then we didn't. They're like, fuck those guys. I'm never watching again. Which... They're probably never going to watch again, or they didn't even watch this one. But you've got to uphold some of these things, all right? But it's fine.
Yeah, okay.
Look, we don't want to fight about it, all right? So we're going to talk about some of our favourite movie fights. I'm assuming these two guys have got some prepared. I want to preface this. I want to say that, obviously, there's some of the obvious ones. You've got your Bruce Lee. And your IP Man and all these, Jackie Chan movies. There's a lot of crazy stuff out there. I don't know if any of these guys have got any of that stuff on their lists. I've avoided all of that stuff because it's just so much, and it's just what do I really know to rank this thing above this thing or whatever? And all of this stuff has been, there's a million videos dissecting all of this stuff on YouTube and everything. So I've just gone for ones that are sort of personal to me. There's some other obvious ones. I don't know what these guys' parameters are. Do we want to just do one each and go round that way?
I was going to ask you guys to do yours first, and then But we can do it that way. Do one each. Should we just do because we could be here fucking all night with this.
Yeah, I haven't got loads. I've only got half a dozen.
Half a dozen. Do you want to do 5 each then?
Yeah. That's fine. All right.
If you if someone could just start, I need a pee. Sorry.
Alright,
Yeah,
so
don't
sorry.
worry. It doesn't.
for
They
it.
don't need to know what you're doing. So ding, 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 indeed. Right, so again, as much as I didn't want to throw out all these martial arts ones and all this stuff, I've tried to not go crazy on like the superhero stuff, because again, there's just once you pick one, you kind of got to pick in all of them, right? And it kind of gets a bit, it gets a bit much. But I will say, if I was going to pick one of those, X-Men 2, Wolverine kills all the guards in the mansion. You've seen X-Men 2, George. So probably not since 2002 when it came out, or 2003.
Yeah, I recall this.
Anyway, so they're in he's drinking beer with Iceman in the kitchen of the X mansion,
Yeah.
and then all the armored soldier guys all come in, from Wolverine's shady past or whatever, and they're busting in, lasers, night vision goggles, all of that stuff. And again, this is they're dark, but they're still pretty family friendly movies.
Yeah.
And then there's that moment where one of the guards tranks one of the kids, a little girl, I think it's Kitty Pryde or whatever. And then Wolverine just he just screams, and he just double claws this guy through the fucking chest into the wall, and he just screams in his face. And it's just there's the guy, that's the character. We kind of just summed up, for a lot of people, oh, he's too tall, he's too friendly, whatever. And for this one moment, we get the real raw Wolverine. And again, he takes out a whole bunch of dudes. He jumps off of a fucking balcony, and he does another guy double into the chest. He looks up, and you see some of the other kids are looking at him, and they're like, what the fuck are we never mind these dudes who are invading the house. You let this guy live here? And again, I just think that just sums up so much with not only Wolverine, but the X-Men and the whole dynamic. And we really got to see, and again, we didn't get to see this Wolverine again for another fucking 15 years when Logan came out. It took that much progression for to have this kind of level of grittiness in these movies. But for that one scene in X-Men 2, we got a taste of it, and that's my first one that I'm going to throw in there.
Okay, cool. Mamanus. If you've got a comic book one, this might be the time to mention that.
Yeah, because you missed it, but I said I said there's so many. It's once you pull the Band-Aid off, it's just there's so many.
That's exactly what happened to me when I told you to take sand. That's what happened to me.
We could do a whole episode on superhero fights alone. So if you've got your main one,
Cap
get it on.
Cap versus Bucky, Civil War.
So is that the end fight with Cap, Iron Man, and Bucky? Yeah.
No. It's the first one where Cap is on the highway, they're getting chased, and they got the guy from Hydra with them. They managed to get out on the freeway. Get him out of here. I'm gonna distract Bucky. And the ensuing fight that just went on was intense for me. I was on the edge, literally on the edge of my seat, watching it with my mouth just
Yeah, that's pretty epic, because that's where you get Black Panther in action as well, right, for the first time. Mm-hmm. And you kind of got that three-way thing. And again, it's setting up the ideologies of the characters with the different, also the different fighting styles. You've got some epic chase stuff in there as well. Helicarriers coming down with the Gatling guns. It's pretty good, George. You probably didn't see this one. Maybe you did.
Civil War.
Yeah, you saw Captain America: Civil War.
I did actually. I went back and watched the other Captain America films.
And again, there's so many just in that movie alone. There is like 3 or 4 in that movie alone, and that's without like the other Cap movies, and which all have some really great ones.
One of my favourite ones out of that scene was this particular scene is where they're fighting up against the van, and Cap's got his shield, and Bucky just sticks his knife into the van and just cheese grates the entire
tears
van,
it up along the side,
just like it was a piece of butter, just whoop.
Yeah. And that was back in the day where some of those movies still had a level of like tangibility, like some actual, like you could feel like these, you felt the physicality of these things actually happening, and whether or not those things are there anymore, they're not, is a conversation for a different day. But those were the glory days. That was the peak before it all. Anyway, George, yours.
Well, funnily enough, I thought this one always came to mind, even though like I'm, the least comic book, or comic book movie fan here. I thought there's one that always come to mind, is always entertaining. And it's not that brutal or anything, it's just sticks out in my mind as Spider-Man 2. Raimi one where he fights the train.
This was good. This is going to be mine as well. Yeah, go on, lay it out, because this is peak. Go on, I want to hear your take on this.
I don't have much to say about it other than like it just really sticks out in my memory. Obviously, I knew who Sam Raimi was. I didn't know that film was shot by him initially when I watched it at the time. Back then. So
when Spider-Man 2 comes out, I think it's 2003 or 4.
Yeah, I would have watched.
You hadn't already seen Evil Dead?
Oh no, yeah, definitely seen it.
You had.
I wasn't like massively like in my
aware of like who. Yeah.
I was like getting into horror films still. I've watched horror films. I've been exposed to them as a kid. But I wasn't aware of like who's this director.
Yeah, you're still piecing that stuff together, right? Yeah. Slowly at that age, for sure.
Yeah, I would have been 16. So I remember.
But you're recognizing like there's definitely a flair to the way that stuff is shot, and obviously when you go back and watch it, you're like, that's Raimi all over. Like so much of that movie. I mean, specifically that one as well, because there's the other scene where he's on the operation table, right? And he's waking up with the tentacles, and it's very like Raimi to the max. But that scene in particular does a really good job of like utilizing it. Really, because so much of this stuff now is like 2 dudes with the same powers hitting each other, but that was like very specifically like, okay, we've got a dude with arms, we've got a dude with webs.
Yeah.
Let's just literally put them on tracks and see where this goes, like, and see how this plays out. And it's pretty good.
That's like I had so many like going into this. I was like, right, I'm gonna try, because there's so much stuff in like Asian cinema, where I could just do a whole, like you say, you could do one on just superhero movie fight scenes. We could do one on just
kung fu, anything.
Fight scenes. So I tried to pick one that I knew would be on the same sort of level of the stuff that you guys are into, and that one just came to mind like instantly. But yeah, it's
there's great stuff where he gets shoved through the side of the window in the train and comes out the other side. He does the cool dive flip thing through the bridge and the gaps in the bridge. Like, again, but for the time as well, some of that stuff is so visually compelling, but also so like real, and it's not, obviously it's CGI, but not in the same way that like things would be done now.
No,
And
because
it's so New York as well. Like, it's like, you know,
especially at the time of the climate after the terrorist attacks, and like the first time,
that as well.
It's the first time someone's seen like CGI like that, especially Spider-Man doing it, and like I saw a comparison of actual when it came out. People waited till the swinging scene was over to clap and cheer, but now when it goes to, you hear everyone go now, like 2024, you hear him go, "I am Spider-Man," and then when he starts swinging, they go, "Oh, they've gone fucking nuts again."
Spider-Man looks more rubbery and fake now in movies than what he does in that scene in movies, and I think that's a big part of why it still holds up, you know. And we will still go back and watch that 20 years later, but 20 years from now, you know, we're going to go back and watch all the stuff. You know, it's not got the same.
No, but yeah, let's
feel into it.
Countdown last 20 years, so let's make it get to number 4, shall we?
Absolutely. So this one, I don't know if, I mean, it's a fight. I've got a few on here that are like kind of very one-sided fights. It's almost just like a massacre scene more than it is a fight scene, but I think they still count. Right, so I'm going Goodfellas when he finds out that the girl's neighbours like tried to make a move on her, and he drives round to the neighbourhood and he just smacks the absolute living fuck out of him with the back of the gun.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Because it summarizes like so much of the whole like point of that movie, where it's like you've got these two sides of life coming together and just clashing in a way where it's just not pretty when it happens, but it's absolutely necessary. I mean, maybe not, maybe a little bit of a gross, you know, overreaction a little bit, but that is what you get when you're like, you can't just have this normal life and have these wonderful things, and this fancy guy with the nice suit and the Italian shoes, and he's buying you all this lovely jewelry, taking you out to all these fancy restaurants, and everyone knows everyone, and it's so hunky-dory, and you're like, you know, so enamored with all this glitz and glam of it all, but then like you say one thing of like, the neighbour made a move on me, and then boom, it's just fucking smash nose all over the fucking pavement everywhere. And it's her realization of like, this is like the yin to the yang kind of situation. Like this is the other side of it, and this is kind of like these moral compromises that you're going to have to make to live this lifestyle. And you know, and it's just brutal, man. Like it just doesn't, the camera just doesn't move really. It's just, you just see that fucking hand coming down. The guy is very sorry, I'm sure, for what was probably like, you know, probably just like grabbed her knee and, you know, tried to kiss her or whatever, which again, without consent is not okay. But I'm just saying, in it, you know, it's not necessarily the reaction that you would expect. But like with
level,
but like with like how all the dinners and the suits and all of that stuff is like gloriously over the top. So are the emotions on the other side, you know. So that's my next one, McManus.
Yeah.
I've got to bring this up, but it's got to be the Daredevil hallway fight scene for me.
Oh, right. From the series.
Yeah. I thought about putting this in there. We said
doesn't count.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I know. I thought I went through this, but I think it's good enough that it counts. So go on with your bit.
It's like, apart from that'll be part of my other choice. But without explaining it, I like the way with me it was filmed. I like that's just
One take.
Like, yeah.
I mean, it's not actually one take, but it looks like it's one take.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And the way it was filmed and the fight scenes and like how it's done with just basically just in a dark corridor. But one of the best is goes in there, goes down, beats the shit out of a couple. They're all like laying on the floor. Goes in the room, boom, a door comes down. The guy's on the door, falls over. Next thing, another guy goes in there. There you go, a flying fucking microwave. Have it. It was new to me, and that's what I really liked about it.
Yeah, you feel the struggle of just like this dude who's just trying to do like a good thing, and it just snowballs and it just slowly getting away from him, and he's like, well, I'm in it now. I've got no choice but to just like fight through or give up, like, and I ain't giving up. And my next one actually is, not to like play like my daddy's bigger than yours, but my next one is, I think, probably what inspired that one, and it works for a lot of the same reasons, but to put that into like a superhero show that doesn't feel like a superhero show, and again, that's kind of piggybacking off of like what some of the Captain America stuff did, which like, fuck, we're gonna make this feel like really like Born Identity, like, sort of like guerrilla style almost. And again, where like you reach a certain point with like, how much like flashy lasers and stuff do we need to see? Like, what's the way to like give us something that we haven't seen? And the only way to do that is to kind of like inverse that kind of stuff. And we just want to see a dude who's like, because there's sections in that scene where he's not even throwing a punch, he's just fucking holding his ribs and he's just fucking panting, and the camera just stays on him until another dude comes over his shoulder and hits him over the head or whatever, so it's almost like
every shot he takes
what you don't see. Yeah, it's almost like what you don't see and what they, and like in a good piece of music, it's the breaks in the music that give more flavor to the the piece or whatever. But we'll let it slide.
Sorry,
what's
George,
that?
I went for a turn.
Sorry, like jazz, like it's the notes
like,
that you don't play.
It's like jazz, and they're scat singing on his ribcage, like beep 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 beep. But anyway, next one. Let's keep it going.
Yeah. All right. So funny enough, I had one. I wasn't sure how I was going to do this, but yeah, the fact that you got the Goodfellas one, I've got a gangster one, but it's a British gangster one, and this could be its own category as well. People fighting actors, playing characters where they fight themselves feasibly, but they're not themselves. Obviously, it's the actor portraying a character.
Okay.
Legends. Tom Hardy. Ronnie versus Reggie. In the fucking, I can't remember the name of the club.
No idea.
Do you remember the scene?
Vaguely. I don't. I've seen this movie once. I don't like it.
I don't like it. I always found it amusing. I don't know.
One of my favorites on Blu-ray.
Well, yeah, it's obviously the craze is
it's more just there's a whole
British gangster stuff, but like there's basically the scene where Reggie's running the club and he's running it into the ground, and then Ronnie shows up with his missus, and then Reggie insults him and his missus, and they have a fucking brawl. And it's like building up, and it's like the classic thing where you see people in a fight in England, for us, in our hometown. They're giving it all the mouth, outside or wherever, in the pub, wherever, in this club. And and then it gets personal. He insults his girlfriend. And then, Ronnie smashes him one, and then they start brawling. But there's this one scene where Ronnie headbutts Reggie, and his nose like pops, and he makes this noise. He's just like, I can't fucking do.
He starts screaming. Like, high pitch.
And- Yeah, but like it's just like I like, you know, it's just the illusion where obviously you got a stunt and
Yeah.
double whatever.
Well, you did
But-
grab him by the bollocks. So,
Yeah,
that's why he got his nose. Like, you
It's-
don't
it's
go
like-
for the
it's-
jewels, bro.
Yeah, that's it. You don't go for jewels. Yeah, it's comedic, but it's also like it's pretty gnarly. Like one of the first fights I ever saw at high school was a dude I literally just came out. I was in year 7. You know, you're all like timid and you know you haven't really seen real violence normally that much by then. I'd seen some in my life, but I'd never seen anyone pop someone's fucking nose with their own skull before. I remember seeing that. So when I see that in films or, you know, TV, like that brings back that memory, and it was quite visceral.
Yeah.
I just remember seeing first hit. This kid just came up to this other kid, headbutted him, and I see like the kid behind him headbutt him. See this guy's face just like blood all over it. I was just like, fucking hell. So yeah, that's a fun one. That's the gangster one.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I like my violence fictional, but you know, you do you. That's fine.
Well,
I
that's
will
what-
quickly mention one. You reminded me of one memory that I have when I saw a fight early on. I think it was like in year 8. And I'd
Yeah.
seen a couple of fights by this point. I'd even been in a couple of fights by this point. They didn't make my list, but there was
Well,
one
go on,
time.
Cameron.
There was a fight by the bus stop at the train station, right? And it was these 2 kids, and they must have been like 12, 13. And they're having a fight outside this bus station, and everyone's gathered round it. Everyone's loving it. And they're just swinging haymakers. Every punch is a haymaker for about 15 seconds. And they realise that they've been throwing too many haymakers. Nobody's been pacing themselves. They both collapse in on each other. So they're hugging, and they're just like breathing, right? And then I just hear one guy who just shouts, "They're fucking knackered, mate!" And everyone just left and walked away. So
Wow,
that's
not quite
fine.
A climax is the one.
A little bit anticlimactic, but it just, "They're fucking knackered, mate," just plays in my head. Every now and then I get reminded of that. But anyway, speaking of getting knackered, and again, one that inspired, I think, McManus's one, I'm talking Old Boy. We know the scene.
That I had that on my list.
We know the scene. So it's the classic corridor scene.
With the hammer.
But we're not, you know, much like how in Daredevil, it's very like, again, it's got that Jason Bourne guerrilla style. We're following him, we're going over the shoulder, the camera's flipping around and stuff, but it's still one take. This is just true basic bitch one take.
Yeah.
Where it's like a side-scrolling beat 'em up. You know, this dude is like, he's out for revenge. He's been fucking locked up. He's been beaten. He's been mistreated. He's been fucked with. He's finally getting to like the root of like, this is the place. These are the guys that have been fucking my life up. And we're just following him side along like it's Streets of Rage. And he's got that claw hammer thing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And he's just working his way through the levels, up the level, next level, whatever. And it's the way it's some really subtle camera work here, because we're not just like following him. It's like when he's tired and he's getting beaten and back down on, the camera's moving backwards. And when he's on a run and he's doing really well and he's getting his way through, it's like the camera is like working with him, you know. But then when he's struggling again, the camera's pushing back and he's stumbling back, and it just gives you that sense of like that tension and that sort of like yearning where you're like rooting. Like it reminds me of like when you're in a dream and you're trying to hit somebody in the dream and it's just like you're like jelly and you can't. and it's just that sense of like you just want to like, come on, you feel like you're right there with him, like pulling like a fucking world's strongest man competition, like you're pulling them tires on your back, you know, and you just feel that forward struggle, and you're just so immersed in it, and for that whole scene, and it just goes and goes, and people keep coming out of the fucking woodwork.
Yeah.
And again, by that point, you're just so invested in this guy's journey, and you want to find it because you still haven't found out really what's going on. Spoilers alert, you don't want to find out what's really going on, but you do, right? But yeah, you're just so invested in that whole journey, and that really just is, it's iconic. It's probably any list that anyone that's ever done a list, this is probably on the list. But yeah. I had to have this on there anyway.
Well, it should be. Like, while still on that, have you seen both versions?
I have seen both versions, yes, and I think the remake is fine. I think for an American remake of a Korean film, it's pretty serviceable. That their version of that scene does miss a little bit of the point of that scene, because he's very much just like soldiering through. The camera doesn't do those things where you feel that tension, but it is relentless, and it is like, it's a good action scene, but again, it misses a little bit of the zest.
If you are an ignorant Westerner, and it's in like, you're the first, like, it's the first movie you actually see, but you don't have no idea about the original Old Boy movie, and you go and watch it, it's still going to fuck your world up just a bit slightly.
It will turn you upside down, and goodbye to sushi.
I still like
sushi.
They don't do the sushi in the remake, which is fine. I mean, that's actually my next pick. Is the squid versus Old Boy when he eats it. It's not, but yeah, George, you said you had this on your list.
I had it on my list. You know what's funny though? I went and I was like, you know what? I kind of want to watch the film, but I didn't have time, so I just, looked at the fight scene again. There are a couple, like, once you've watched it so many times, and I guess because you're like, not to say it diminishes, but I did notice, maybe it's because I've got a bigger TV now than when I watched it back then, some quite clear like misses with the hit.
But does that not add to it though? Because it's not choreographed, and whether or not it was intentional, again, going back to the fight that I saw outside school at the bus stop, there are going to be misses, and when you've got all these amounts of people coming in, swinging in, these aren't all trained professionals. Some of these dudes are just like drug addicts who just like were told to just like, they give them $50 and tell them to like guard a door, you know what I mean? Like, and then all of a sudden you've got this fucking single-minded like dude on a warpath, and I don't know, I'd have to go back and watch it to look for the misses,
because it's still like a great scene, and like it's just like when he gets through that and then the elevator and you're like, oh fuck.
But can you imagine, like, you film like, because that one is legitimately it's all done in one take, so can you imagine you get for like 2/3 of filming like your 40th take of this fight scene, and then one dude misses a punch, and you're like, "Fuck!"
That's what I was thinking. Do you reckon that happened like once or? I don't know.
Of course it did, and they're like, "Just carry on." And the director probably justified it the same way I did. Like, yeah, these dudes are tired, they're stupid, they're gonna miss. I'm not filming it again, so let's just say it's fucking gritty realism.
I was going to say, like, you do see a couple of misses, but also you see a couple fucking hard connects as well. Where you just go,
sure.
I bet some of those weren't intentional either, for sure.
Someone's just like...
But what's your, McManus, what's your next one?
What's your number 3?
It's going to actually go back to the same movie George says, actually. But it's the two... Yeah, it's the two schizophrenics when a schizophrenic walks into a bar. because he literally they walk into like it was crazy again. They walk in like the boys walk into a bar for a meeting. They thought it was going to be a whole meeting, and it was like, oh, they've asked us to look after you. Oh, is that nice? Well, I'm going to pour myself a pint. And
the shootout one.
yeah, and it
Came here for a shootout.
yeah, his brother just like comes in with pipes in his coat. And like, oh, what's that? I came here for a fucking shootout. Like, what's this?
Like a western.
Like a western. And he walks out the bar. Oh, fucking disappointing. It's like, seems like your brother's done a runner. No, he's just generally disappointing. Oh, look at that. That's lovely. That is. They've asked us to knock the granny out of you. They're like, oh, have they? Oh, don't mind if I fight back then. And then all of a sudden, like his brother walks through the back with just two hammers. Everyone's paying attention to Reggie at the bar, and he's just, I've got a joke for you. Schizophrenic walks into the bar. Bang! Hits this old geezer over the head with a fucking hammer, like as hard as he could. This guy goes down, and he just starts wailing on him. But the most most of the guys in here are old men. They're like in their fucking 60s, 70s, and these guys are in their like late 20s, 30s, just smashing the fuck out of these old guys.
Yeah, that's a pretty. That one is, I thought of that, and then I was like, but it was mainly because I was looking at things. I was trying to think of also like comedic fight scenes as well, because I didn't want to do it just like gory, brutal fight scenes.
Yeah.
And I thought of things like Austin Powers versus Fat Bastard. I'm not going to do that, but it made me think of, Mike Myers potentially fighting himself, obviously, and that's where it got me to Legend. But and again, like I said, the headbutt thing, that's always stuck with me. I should note as well, those were older kids. They were probably year 11 when I was year 7. So when you see like older kids that seem so much
that's definitely scarier, yeah.
more closer to manhood than you're just like, fuck that. If that's what happens in a fight when I'm older.
This is what I've got to look forward to. Shit, I better start a podcast. I'm not going to make it on these streets.
Oh, no.
So what are you, number 3 now, George?
Yeah, my number 3. Oh, fuck, man. I'm going to go with They Live. Keith David.
Okay. You know what? Confession, I've never seen this movie, but I've heard that this is crazy. It's like a 15-minute long fight, right?
One last fight scene.
And is it Rowdy Roddy Piper?
It is.
Yeah.
Obviously a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
McManus.
And is Kurt Russell in this? Is Kurt Russell?
Is not in this. It's a John Carpenter film. Which
it's not okay.
Rowdy Roddy Piper is basically playing what would be the Kurt Russell role.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, Keith David. I believe he also at some point changed his actor name to David Keith. Not sure.
Why not?
He's in the thing.
Movie what Duke Nukem is basically based on.
Yeah.
Yes.
The character is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they have a fight scene in the alleyway. Basically, spoilers. Sorry, Dean.
I'll live.
I'm sure. So I'm sure you know about. Do you know about the glasses, the shades in the film?
So I know you put like glasses on, and it shows you like where the aliens are or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Who they are, or what outlet.
Yeah. So he's trying to get this guy to put his glasses on. He don't want to put his glasses on.
Don't want to eat his cereal.
It escalates, and they just fucking go at it. There's a bit of wrestling. There's a bit of like just smashing each other up. It goes on, but like it is the epic length, if anything, and there's some comedy beats in there. Yeah, forgive the pun. Comedy beats.
Good comedy beats. Doing that scat singing again. Yeah, happy days. No, I need to see this movie. It's been on my list.
I mean, it's pretty, well,
But it is what it is.
but yeah, maybe we'll watch it sometime. I'll bring it
Yeah,
around.
maybe. I think there was at one point there was talks of a remake with The Rock. I get that's probably not going to happen, but if they do remake it, maybe that'd be a good time to do a watch along.
That could work.
I can honestly say,
I would normally say fuck that, but like,
yeah,
sure, why not? Why not? As long as it's not Kevin Hart as the Keith David character, 'cause that'd be too
Oh,
obvious.
you know it will be. You know it will be.
No, it can't be.
Okay, so
sorry,
it's me for number 4.
You're number 2. Yeah, number 2, number 4, whatever.
Well, it's my
Two left.
4th one, but my number 2, yeah. So we've done 3 each now, right?
Yeah.
So, damn it. See, I thought of one like in the last 5 minutes. I'm like, damn it. I was gonna talk about the crazy 88 fight scene from Kill Bill, right? And how just ridiculous and long and epic, and they had to change it from color to black and white for some of it, and do stylistic things just to not get the NC-17 rating. But I'm cheating now. I've quickly covered that, and now this is my new improved pick, and I want to talk about the fight scene from. I think it counts as a fight scene. The end of 28 Days Later, where Cillian Murphy is coming into that fucking house and he's taking out. He's taken out those fucking dudes. They've got the women in there. We've seen how these guys from the military can be driven to like the end of like their humanity in one way, and then we see what happens when they push him to the end of his humanity. And he's pulling. He doesn't even need to like explain it, but you can just see like what he's doing. He's pulling from what he's learned, like from the short time that he's been with them. He's got the zombie on the chain or whatever. He's unleashed him, and we just see how their loss of humanity pushes him to the brink of his, and all that like frustration. Obviously, the score. The name of the track is escaping me right now, but you all know the song. It gets used in a lot of stuff now. Boo, 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 boo. That one.
They wrote it in their album, didn't they?
It's everywhere. That it's been so overdone, but again, just how we see a normal dude and he just gets fucking pushed that far. He's just like, I cannot let what is gonna happen. This will not stand, man. Like the dude, right, from the Big Lebowski. He's just like, this aggression will not stand. I'm gonna have to see their barbarity, and I've got to rise up to the occasion, and I'm just going to annihilate. And these are all like trained military dudes who are not only just trained military dudes, but military dudes who have like survived through a zombie apocalypse as well. Don't tell me they're not zombies. Fuck you in the comments. All right. I've been over this over and over again. I don't care. They're zombies, right?
Rage virus.
There's zombies. And again, it's just how those dudes, these army guys, like, because they're the zombies, right? Because they're just now resorted to like their base, like sort of animal instincts, right? Because they're just like, well, these are the only 2 women. We're gonna go down this fucking road. We don't care. This is what we need. This is what we want. Like, and then he's just like, no. But in the way that he resorts to his like barbarity is like in the service of like his humanity, of compassion, and he's doing the real gnarly shit, for the right reasons. And it gives you, as much as it's like so bleak, it's just like there's the hope for humanity right there. And obviously that pays off at the end, because it does end, spoiler alert, on a relatively hopeful note in that movie. And that is just a turning point, and it's glorious. So that's my 4th one.
Nice one. Manas?
I'm gonna say, as you're saying, like it actually was on my list, but it's way down there. Remember the end of Hot Shots Part 2, with the chicken in the boat.
Is that with the chicken bow and arrow? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Cool. Go on.
No, about this one.
Oh my god, it's ridiculous. It is fantastic at the most cheesiest things you'll ever see in your life, but it still holds up to this day. And
Hot
it's got
Shots
Rowan,
2.
yeah. You know Rowan Atkinson
Part
as the
2.
hostage. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got Rowan Atkinson as the hostage, and he just looks down. It's like, I can't possibly get out of here. Like, oh, my feet. What? It's a knot. Them bastards. And he just runs out of ammunition and just like looks down. Closest thing he gets is a fucking chicken, and he's and it
Live
just,
chicken.
Yeah. But then it, obviously in the boat it stretches out. And the eyes go fucking huge just before it's shot, and then you have the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves fucking arrow shot with a flying chicken going through the air, and it just stabs this guy in the chest, and he just goes down like a pin. It's fantastic.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
There we go. We got a comedy one in there.
I was going to do a comedy one. I will do some.
I mean, please do, because I haven't. I mean, I might not have any comedy ones, so.
You mentioned Kill Bill, and there is like one, like that was like the Yakuza when she basically takes out all those fucking dudes. All right.
Yeah, and just these. Go on.
And I'll put this one in my honorable mention one, and then I'll just do Black Dynamite versus Richard Nixon. Then.
Oh my god! I came this close to doing a Black Dynamite one. Absolutely.
That whole film is full of fucking amazing fight scenes.
And it just ups it, and the ridiculousness is just earned every time. I was going to say the one where he's in the bar near the beginning, and like you get like the same dudes keep getting thrown out of the window more than once and stuff.
He does nunchuck shit.
And he's got the nunchucks and all of that stuff. But obviously, you can't beat Nixon when he does. Tricky Nicky, Dicky, whatever. But yeah, that whole movie is just a masterclass. Like you honestly, you could put that on for some people and they wouldn't know if that was a spoof or if it was a genuine movie from that time period.
They would not know what to do.
So many people, even from like 20 years, the last 20 years, when they come out like 2009 or something.
Yeah, right around there.
I wasn't really aware of. I knew what Shaft was and stuff, but I didn't really know much about blaxploitation. It wasn't until like after, people of this generation, like no fucking clue. But like, like when you realize how much of that sort of stuff was, taken from films that were genuinely like that.
It's so accurate. It is so for something that's got like so many like intentional mistakes in it. It is so meticulously put together and acted and written, and the way that it's shot and everything. And then is it before or after Nixon? He goes to Kung Fu Island. I think it's before he goes to Kung Fu Island or whatever. And like, I threw that shit before I walked in the room, and then like the nunchucks come back round and like take him out or whatever. Like,
even Dr. Wu.
Yeah, it's so good. I could watch that film like every day and not get bored.
A cure for depression, that film, I think. Like, it's just like if you're having a shit day and you put that on.
Yeah, I don't own it, and I don't think it's streaming anywhere at the moment. I might need to remedy that. I've not seen that for a while. Have you seen it, McManus?
Yeah, what's this? I can't remember the precise lines. George, you'll probably know this. Like when he's rhyming at the
bullhorn,
and he's just like, and this woman like finishes his sentence, and fucking No issue.
I don't even have to look. How about I send you back to Crenshaw where there's hot ass coat hangers?
Oh man,
Like that bitch.
I mean, I know we're supposed to just talk about the fight scene, but the fight scene is the fight scene. But that movie, man, and with the
Is it
the funeral scene,
Oh, yeah.
and like you can hear the guy singing like what's happening in the movie while they're doing the dramatic dialogue. Oh, I can't believe my little brother has passed away, you know, and all of this stuff. No, and yeah, anyone who hasn't seen Black Dynamite, find it. I'm sure you can at least rent it on Amazon or somewhere. My mate Jeff will hook you up. Not to plug anyone, big corporations can suck it, but also you got to do what you got to do. Go and watch Black Dynamite, absolutely. And there's been talk for a long time about a sequel, and I hope they do, just to give us an excuse to do a watch along. Because I've always said that I don't want to do comedies, but I will do that one all day, every day. I don't care if we don't even say anything for the whole thing. I just will watch that with you and stream it.
You can rent it for $3.50 on YouTube. There you go.
There you go, everybody. Check that out. And for my last one, okay, so this is another superhero one, but it's an old one, and I just don't. Everyone else has done like a comedy one, and I don't want to be bleak. I was going to talk about the elevator scene from Drive, which is very bleak.
That was.
Do
you know what? I was trying to think of a modern or a more modern film.
Yeah.
Still like 10 years old, but
it is. 2011 actually. I think it won Best Picture, or it got nominated, but it's also very similar to my Goodfellas one, where it's like a dude with his woman, and it's the clashing of these two worlds, right? Anyway, we'll call that an honourable mention. I'll end it on a fun note. So this one, again, it's not really a fight scene because it's very one-sided. But at the end of Superman 2, where he gets his powers back and he goes into the diner to get revenge on the guy that beat him up when he didn't have his powers, it's so ridiculous. It's like, that's not in line with the character at all. And again, in this modern age where people were so vocal of like, oh, that's not what Superman would do. Superman doesn't kill. Batman doesn't do this. They shouldn't do that or whatever. Like, all of this bullshit.
What happened? He get his ass kicked.
In 1970 or 1981 or 1980, whenever Superman 2 came out, right, nobody said shit. And I could even talk about how at the end of that movie he kills the Kryptonians. He just throws them down a pit and laughs about. He literally waves and laughs as they fall down a pit to their death. But then after that, because when he didn't have his powers, he got beaten up by the guy in the diner, right? And then he gets his powers back at the end of the movie, and he makes a point to go back to the diner and get revenge on the guy that was mean to him, and just fucking, I believe you're standing in my seat, sir, and then crushes his fucking hand. It's the most un-Superman thing you could ever do.
Fair.
But my God, it is satisfying because we all want, it does.
Film in years, but
even though it flies in the, excuse the pun, it flies in the face of what Superman is, your character, it does also play into like why Superman works as a character, because it's that fantasy, it's just like that power trip. It's like, as much as like, you want to be like, oh, I want to save cats from trees and wave and be famous and stuff. It's like, no, this is what you are doing. You are finding everyone who ever pissed you off, like Jay and Silent Bob at the end of fucking Strikes Back, right? Every dude that fucking comments a bad thing on the Pop Roast podcast, right? We come round, by the way, do comment. Tell us what your favourite movie fight scenes were. If you agree with us, if we left any out, do you disagree with us? Anything. You want to fight about it? Let's do it in the comments. One of us will be there waiting for you. Spoiler alert, it'll probably be me, but I'm ready for it. Like Superman, I'm petty and vengeful, all right? And I will come down on you, and I will take my chair back, and I'll crush your hand, and then I'll sit down and eat my shrimp sandwich and not give a fuck, all right? That's my final pick. That's my final pick. Let's wrap this up, McManus. What have you got?
Yeah, let's go. Number
It's gotta
one.
be Batman versus Kal-El.
Oh, you fuck.
Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. Big scene,
Yeah.
epic movie, divisive movie, but you're talking about where like he's got the armor on
Yeah.
and they're swinging each other around. He's got the kryptonite dust and the darts and the bullets, and they do the whole Dark Knight Returns. It's basically the Dark Knight Returns fight scene for all intents and purposes.
It's Dark Knight Returns.
If you had to tell somebody that like Batman can fight Superman, a lot of people would laugh at you, and I think people do laugh at a lot of this movie, but I do think it does a good job of selling. If Batman had to fight Superman, how would he do it? This is what he would do. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's saying, like, he could never do that. Like, it's the same thing. That's Bruce fucking Wayne. Like, yeah, he can. He'll figure out a way to do it. And precisely.
Yeah.
And
it's how he transforms his... Yeah, it's brains versus brawn, but he uses his brains to, like, transform into the brawn, and he's just finding all these loopholes. And it's not always just easy as well. It's not just like, oh, he plans it all and he comes in there and he just fucks it up. It's like he is on the back foot as well, like, and it is a very much it's a very tug of war of a scene, right? George, have you seen this?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I watched it with you in the cinema.
There you go. You're welcome. Batman v Superman. I had a good time. Again, it's a divisive movie. I can easily understand why somebody would say they like it or somebody would say they hate it.
That's what I remember. I don't really remember much of the fight scene.
There's for a movie that is built around one fight scene, there's a lot of extra padding around that fight scene. It takes a while. You've really got to commit to that. Director's cut is a little bit better in classic Zack Snyder style. But it's not in the director's cut. It's not the fight scenes that are extended. It's more the other stuff, which I do think is what it needs more of. But sorry, McManus, any more thoughts on that for your last one before we wrap this up?
It's just the way, like, how you would think Bruce Wayne would handle a fight against Superman. Because Kal-El just instantly, you just think, like, just stand down. Like, you don't understand how much I can fuck you up. I understand, really.
Yeah, but you don't understand. Yeah.
I've got fucking 50 cows. Here's a grenade. He's gonna catch this. I know he's gonna catch it. He caught it, dumb bitch.
Yeah, I would put the Batman warehouse fight over that fight, even though that fight is the point of the movie. But we won't get into it because it's just the Arkham. Yeah, it's the Batman Arkham Asylum shit, you know. And they finally did it.
That scene has to be one of the Batman scenes we all deserved.
Even though he kills people, but again, conversation for another time.
It's been a long fucking time. Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, George,
I just want to
finish
say
off.
Yeah, before I get to the last one, there's been one other person watching. If it's Becky, whoever it is.
Oh, we got someone in the chat. We're so sorry. We're so ignorant here at the Pop Roast Podcast. We're not used to having people watch us.
Awake, like, and if anyone
they've just fallen asleep in front of the keyboard. Yeah. Absolutely. Two watching. I've got two watching.
To be honest, monitoring it.
If you're watching, leave us a thing in the chat. Let us know who you are, where you live, what your bank details are, and what your worst fear is. Okay, and we will take care of you.
And if you want to tell us what your favourite fight scene in a film
and
is.
tell us what your favourite fight scene, and maybe go and watch it because you need to get ready when we come for you. No, we love it. We're so happy. Anyone who's in the chat, I do this every time. I do this every time. I try and be appreciative when there are people watching, and then I end up like starting shit with them. Honestly. Look, we're called the Pop Roast Podcast, not the Pop Friends Podcast, okay? You come in here, you're ready to fucking have a little bit of a thing going on. We're happy to have you, whatever the thing is, all right? We love a thing. And for our final thing, George.
All right, I'll do it. Yeah, so I said before, people fighting themselves as other characters. was trying to think of horror films. 28 Days Later, I got one where a dude literally does fight himself just for the hell of it. It's Ash versus his own hand in Evil Dead 2.
Oh, you went for the hand. I thought, yes, I thought you was going to go Army of Darkness with Ash versus Evil Ash, but versus the hand.
That could have worked.
Yes, yes.
I was just like, fuck it, man. That's some physical acting right there, dude.
That dude,
as well.
like, not only is he doing like, he's dealing with like, you know, like he's done with like the eyes and the prosthetics and all the gore and all the fucking, the millions of fucking gallons of ooze coming out at you or whatever. He's doing that Buster
beating him up with tree
branches and cameras shoved up his nostril, all of this stuff. And on top of that, he's doing Buster Keaton level, like Charlie Chaplin. He's flipping himself around, you know. I'm assuming that he probably done some of the hand stuff as well. I don't know how they did that all, but yeah, legendary, legendary. And then the whole punchline to the whole scene where he puts the bucket over the hand and then he puts the book on top of the bucket and it's a farewell to arms.
Yeah.
Like it's the perfect coda for that fucking glorious.
There were like, I had so many like honorable mentions, but like, yeah, obviously you can't get all to one. I was going to put Kickboxer Van Damme versus I can't remember the actor's name who plays Tom.
Yeah.
Where they put their hands in the glass. So I remember watching that as a kid and being like hyped because I was just like,
yeah.
But yeah, there's so many fights.
Too many. Talking about horror movies, and I've talked about this like at least 3 or 4 times before, and I couldn't pick which fight, but I nearly went with the Freddy versus Jason, but I just couldn't pick. I just couldn't pick between the 2 fights because they're so good for different reasons, and there's a million other ones, but we're also fighting with a clock here. And we're at 2:45. This has been a long stream. If those 2 people have been here since the beginning, come round. I will kiss your parts. Okay, I will do things. All right. If you made it through the 2:46 and 34 seconds, prove it, and I will make it worth your while. Okay. I am nice to the people that watch these streams. All right. And we are very grateful. We are very grateful that McManus finally decided that we were worth his time and effort.
I'm sorry.
You know, speaking to people who can't watch a fucking clock, there you go. It's fine. It's fine. No, it's fine. We don't matter to you as much as, you know, other things, and that's absolutely fine. We don't take it personally when you disrespect us like that. We just let it wash over. We don't keep going on about it. We don't let it get to us when you just fucking take your big old balls out and just slam them across our faces live on the internet for everyone to see. We don't make a big deal out of it, and we're happy to have you here, and we will hopefully have you again at some point soon. For the full 2. I mean, it's 2 hours and 46 for me and George. It's not for you though, is it, Manners? So it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Please comment with your favourite scenes, anything else, Turtles, G.I. Joe, Roadhouse, whatever you want to talk about, drop it in the comments. You can find us at Pop Rose Podcast on your X and your Instagram and Facebook. You can find me at Dean Lee Live. Go check out George's art and stuff on Gorgeous George, I think, or whatever it is, on Instagram. Go check out his band, Mechromorph. You can find those on the gram as well, and presumably in some other places where you might find, you know, people on the internet.
Don't check me out. I'm fucking boring.
Check him out, you know, but don't do it for another like 25 minutes. All right, make him wait. And we will see you next week. Coming up soon. What is coming out? Something's coming out. Rebel Moon Part 2 is coming out on Netflix later this week. We're going to cover that on our next week's episode, and it's going to be a long Zack Snydery time, and we can't wait. So anything else? Are we done?
I think we're done.
We are done. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night, or a good day, or a good morning.
Cheers, man.
And thanks for having him. We'll see you soon.
Peace.
Peace.
Goodbye.